Woohoo!
Okay. I just needed to make sure that it was muted. Because, good God.
Okay.
Alright. Alright, to anyone watching afterward, I'm hanging out with TFM and some of his Patreons, and we're just going to be going ahead having a bullshit session, so feel free to join in the chat. Hey, Bullet, how's it going?
So yeah, it's basically like kind of an after party behind the scenes type of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Also, if any of you are Patreons for TFM, he already let y'all know in the stream, but it'll the stream that we all just did is going to be up on his Patreon as soon as it's done being exported.
Move your microphone away from your mouth because it's catching your breath.
Thank you. Yeah,
my sex your mic, dude.
Yeah. You don't need to make out with it.
Hey, Acid. Hey, Capone. How's it going? So,
it ruined Star Wars. It ruined Ghostbusters, and apparently now it's coming for James fucking Bond.
Oh yeah, I heard that. Oh God.
What's dumb is okay. Here's the thing. You can add a female character into the James Bond franchise
without sit on James Bond's dick.
No. Like, okay, they could make it like a rival. Like, let's say there's a James Bond movie where James Bond is getting old because he's been around since the goddamn Cold War. He's basically facing retirement, and they pair him up with a young hotshot female agent. And now they could make this could be like a buddy cop comedy where the young female agent isn't interested in him sexually because he's old, but because he's like a womanizer, he tries to put the moves on her, and it's like cringy and hilarious at the same time. It could be like a great movie. It could be like a James Bond kind of. He's an older man. He's but he doesn't have he's not as charismatic as he thinks he is. And then there's like this young kind of hotshot secret agent that he's paired with. That could actually be a very entertaining movie. I would actually probably see that. However, turning James Bond into a woman is fucking retarded.
TFM, what you just talked about is actually what they kind of did with the Ash versus the Evil Dead movies on Netflix. They made a new series, which is actually pretty good.
Oh,
really?
There you go.
I'll have to check it out.
There you go.
This is why I don't get it. Like, when it comes to the comic books where they turn characters into women or they turn characters into different minorities, just make a new character. You can add it to the lore. Like, what's his Falcon? He's always been a part of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Captain America franchise. And they made him like the new Captain America because Steve Rogers retired. But he was already an existing character. They didn't make Steve Rogers black. They made an existing character who was black, replace Steve Rogers as Captain America. I have no problem with that. But when you take a character and you just change his race or change his gender, it's fucking retarded.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's all like, don't fuck with a canon character. Don't do that. Create a new character if you have to, but don't fuck with the canon.
I mean, the whole reason people watch Bond is that women are watching it mostly to see the guy. I mean, remember when Pierce Brosnan was Bond? That's all they cared about.
Well, women don't. No, those are guy movies. Basically, James Bond is this suave agent, and he's got beautiful women, and it's adventures and guns. It's a guy movie. Let's not kid ourselves. But if they wanted to make James Bond a woman, they could do it in a better way than making James Bond a woman. Like adding a female agent and having them play off each other like a buddy cop movie. That would actually be entertaining. It wouldn't necessarily be a James Bond movie, but I don't think an actual James Bond movie could be made in the current year. So if they're going to continue the franchise, play off the fact that James Bond's been around since the Cold War. He's old. He's kind of stuck in his ways. He lives in a different era. So they pair this older James Bond. It'd be hilarious if they brought back what's his name?
Sean Connery.
If they brought back Sean Connery as James Bond, that would be awesome. Bring back Sean Connery as James Bond. He's like an old curmudgeon, but he's still a secret agent, but he's like old and like he thinks he's a womanizer, but he's like old. And then they pair him with that would be funny. It wouldn't necessarily be a James Bond movie, but it would at least be a good, competent movie that would be entertaining. turning James Bond into a woman like he's some kind of Time Lord and like they did with Doctor Who, that's fucking stupid because James Bond isn't a fucking Time Lord. He doesn't just regenerate into different people. Different actors play the character, but you can't just retroactively make James Bond a woman in a different movie. Doesn't make any goddamn sense because that clearly isn't the same character.
Making James Bond a woman is just going to kill the franchise altogether.
Yeah,
well, that may be their goal. Just kill the franchise like they did with Star Wars. Just kill it, burn it, salt the earth so they can never make another.
Yeah, and they're going to seed the market to Kingsman.
With Star Wars, since they completely fucked Luke's character because every little boy grew up thinking, man, I'd kill to be Luke Skywalker.
Yeah,
and now they made him this whiny little bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you mentioned Doctor Who.
Luke was a whiny little bitch. He was just a good whiny little bitch.
Well,
he was a whiny little bitch with a purpose. Now they took away his purpose.
It wasn't that he was a whiny little bitch that made him a good character. It was like he was the hero. He cared about his friends. He had compassion for his enemies. He did heroic things.
He actually trained.
What they turn Luke into...
I agree with you, Capone.
Completely, it destroys his character. And it's dumb. But you know what? The Last Jedi... What can I say about The Last Jedi that hasn't already been said about Haiti?
Yeah, it's actually getting good money for Disney, though. That's the weird part.
It's funny. Capone just said 007 as a woman. No, sir. I'm not subscribing.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I mean, and the thing is with your idea, I mean, at least they could set it up to have, like, basically the next 007 be a female character, and they could use it kind of as a segue. Right. If they really wanted to go that route.
If they wanted to make no one wants to see. Here's the thing: they could make a female character protagonist in the James Bond universe, but it wouldn't be a James Bond movie. It's like what they did with Fury Road, where it was a Mad Max movie, but they made him a supporting character in his own movie, and the movie was really about Furiosa. However, here's the thing: I own Mad Max Fury Road on Blu-ray. It's a good movie. Is it a Mad Max movie? But is it a good movie? Yes. So my point isn't that, like, basically James Bond is a relic of a bygone age, but you could make a James Bond movie kind of like the way they made Mad Max Fury Road. They can have a female protagonist, but don't turn James Bond into a woman. Play out, like, bring Sean Connery back, have him have a young, female sidekick, and then play off that. Make a good, competent movie, and if it works, if they want to continue the story of this female secret agent, they can. Whatever, but at least it would be a good movie. Like, don't turn it into the Ghostbusters remake, where they turned all the characters into women for no reason, shit all over the original movies, pissed everyone off, and lost a bunch of money.
Yeah, seriously, that's definitely something that they're in danger of with the 007 series at this point. And I'm all like, please, not another series from my childhood, please, no.
Well, I learned this. I was a big Star Wars nerd. I still am, but I've accepted the fact that Star Wars is dead. And that's okay. That's okay, because even though they killed Star Wars trilogy dick, it doesn't actually take away from the original movies. You can still love the original and just stop watching after episode 6.
Yeah, true. Everything post Return of the Jedi is non-canon in my book.
Well, even Rogue One sucked. Rogue One was dog shit. Aside from the last 10 minutes, like the scene, the action sequence in the last 10 minutes was fine, but that could have been a bonus scene for episode 4, not its own standalone movie.
Oh, by the way, TFM, Acid A is asking me, TFM going to Haiti a good thing or a bad thing?
No, fuck Haiti. Why would anyone want to go to Haiti?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, like, why would anyone go to Haiti? No, nobody goes to, like, when's the last time you saw a commercial for taking a vacation in Haiti?
Did you see all that bullshit with Conan O'Brien where they went to Haiti and went to only the nice places in Haiti?
Right, yeah. Well, here's the thing. Every country looks nice if you show, like, where people don't live. Like, they were showing mountain ranges, that. Oh, look how beautiful Haiti is. It has mountain ranges. Yeah, people don't live in the fucking mountains. Go show the fucking slums people live in. Look at the fucking rivers full of trash and feces that people bathe in. Don't look at the ocean and the mountains and be like, oh, Haiti's beautiful.
Yeah,
yeah, the oceans and the mountains. Nobody lives there, dumbass. Like everywhere is beautiful if nobody lives there. A desert island is beautiful.
Or if you see the gates there or something like that, it's a dead giveaway. It's not the local populace.
Right. Yeah, this guy. Man. Yeah, they were taking pictures of like a rich resort completely cut off from the rest of the country. It's like, oh, look how beautiful Haiti is. I'm in this resort. That's like going into like this crime-infested town, and there's like one gated community that has like a bunch of private security, and being like, oh, I don't know why everyone's complaining about the crime. Oh, this place is great. It's like you're in the one gated community with private security that's protecting you from all that shit. You're fucking. If you try to extrapolate that as, oh, because I'm in this one gated community with private security, therefore anybody criticizing the rest of the city is full of shit. You're just being disingenuous and lying.
Yeah, selective reporting is still biased.
That's how you know your Congress has failed you, when they have enough free time to whine about Trump using foul language by saying shithole.
Well, he didn't publicly say that. It was like a secondhand leak that he said it in private. So that's even less of a reason to give a shit. Who fucking cares
if I was Donald Trump, I'd have just walked up to a stand and said, yeah, they're fucking shitholes.
Well,
who hasn't seen Haiti on TV and not thought, what a shithole?
But people are like, oh, that's unbecoming of the president. Fuck you. I don't fucking care. Like, who gives a shit? Like,
dude, the whole
it doesn't matter.
Unbecoming of the president thing. Jesus Christ. I mean, just look at fucking Obama and the shit that he fucking spewed. Come on.
Dude,
Jesus.
Bill Clinton,
and they never considered him unbecoming.
The unbecoming of the president.
Yeah, no, I gotta agree with you there. I mean, Clinton, bad.
Well, and he didn't get in trouble for that. He got in trouble for lying under oath. And that's what he got in trouble for.
Too.
Yeah, it's so dumb. This whole double standard, like, it's just bias. It's politics. Who fucking cares?
Right. Anytime they're all like, "Oh, we're gonna punish this person," I'm all like, "I'll believe it when I see it. When I get a report of them being shanked to death in prison, then I'll believe you."
What do you mean punished? Who are you punishing?
Like Bill Clinton or something like that. Someone who goes out and really fucks up in a very public way, and it's like, come the fuck on. Nothing's gonna happen to this motherfucker.
Right. I don't. Whatever. I don't really care. My status is.
It's not like I got much love for Trump these days. Where's my fucking wall, Donald? Where's my wall?
Yeah. I'm pissed off about the FCC bullshit.
Well, no. Here's the thing about the FCC is, the telecom companies. It's called regulatory capture. Whenever the government tries to regulate an industry, the industries that body is supposed to regulate pays politicians to staff the regulatory agency with their agents. And the politicians do it because money talks and bullshit walks. So the real solution isn't to government regulation doesn't work in the long run because of regulatory capture. What does work is competition. Because you can't capture competition long term. You'll just go bankrupt. You can try to buy out your competition, but you'll eventually just run out of money. And competition will still spring up if the market demands it. So competition works long term, and it's basically self-repairing. Regulation doesn't work long term because the industries eventually put their people in charge of it. Like the what is it called? The energy and gas regulators. They're all shills of the oil companies.
Yeah, it's the whole revolving door bullshit.
Right.
And I agree wholeheartedly with you. But the thing is at this point right now, there's not going to be any competition because these large corporations can just drive anyone out as they see fit, and there's nothing to stop them.
No, that's because these telecom companies have government-sanctioned monopolies. Like the government, the local governments give these companies. Like if you ever notice, let's say you have Verizon or Comcast in your area, and you're like, well, fuck, I hate Comcast. I want to go to another company. Chances are you may not have another company. Like your area where you live, the only option for internet is Comcast.
Yeah, I actually covered this in a live stream on my channel when I was talking about the FCC vote and all that before all of it went down. I was like, look, here's where the real fucking problem is we don't have a choice in the matter regardless.
Right, but the thing is, so is the answer more regulation? Like, okay, so the government created these monopolies. Now the government needs to regulate the monopolies. But then you have regulatory capture. Well, now the government needs to pass more laws to rein in the corrupt regulators, and then we need to pass more laws to rein in the corrupt regulators of the regulators. and this constant never-ending downward spiral of more government, more government, more government. Or maybe, just crazy thought here, maybe the government shouldn't be creating monopolies.
I agree wholeheartedly with you on that. But my thing was at least with the way it was with net neutrality, at least information could get out there. And now, now that is gone, now not only do these companies have a monopoly over areas, but now they're getting monopolies over information. And that is where it's truly terrifying to me.
Well, no, you're right. But the thing is, it's inevitable because of regulatory capture. There's nothing... The only way the government can stop it is by writing more laws and squashing freedom and competition even more. The answer is always the answer is free market competition. That's what works. That's what creates value for consumers. That creates choice. It works all the time. It's like Sex Panther. 60% of the time, it works all the time. But yeah, regulation doesn't work. Not long term. It works at first. But it's kind of like the way communism will work as long as you have benevolent philosopher kings running it. But as soon as a real person gets that kind of power, it becomes corrupt. That's the problem with regulators. And
absolute power corrupts absolutely.
And the way regulatory capture works is because you as a voter, you're not going to care about what the FCC does more than the people who are regulated by the FCC. They have a direct financial interest in making sure the FCC rules in their favor. You as a voter don't. So they have concentrated interests with distributed costs. So you're paying for the FCC with your tax dollars, but you couldn't give less of a shit about what the FCC does on a day-to-day basis. But if you're Comcast or Verizon or any of these other telecom companies, you care about what the FCC does because that directly affects your business. Thus, you're going to donate, in air quotes, to some politician to make sure they put the people you want on that FCC board to make the decisions you want them to make.
Yeah, and exactly.
That's exactly what happened with fucking Apple Pie. He was put there. He didn't necessarily directly, he didn't directly work for these companies, but he was recommended to the regulator body by the telecom companies, like, this is who we want in charge. And, briefcases of cash changed hands, and he was put in charge of the FCC, and he voted in favor of these telecom companies. That's how it always works.
Wait, didn't he actually used to work for Verizon way back in another life?
Well, I don't know, but I used to work for McDonald's, and I'm a shill for fucking Big Burger.
Yeah, but the thing is with these telecom companies, again, they have the revolving door, much like the FDA has that revolving door situation going on.
There's a fair market solution here that's really simple, guys. You can buy stock in these companies and gain voting rights and change them.
No, that doesn't actually work, because here's the thing. You back in the day, you used to, but now companies can create non-voting stock.
And that's what they're primarily doing.
That's what they do. So
and they self-regulate their voting stock and make sure that they have people have 51% of the vote. So that way it looks like they're like other people have a choice, but it's all a facade.
Yeah, no, that's the problem. Self-regulation doesn't work. Competition works. If you're thinking, oh, we can buy stock and we can vote in the shareholders meeting, no, they've already shored that up. What will work, what always works, is the market. So, yeah, Verizon and Comcast, they have a monopoly. They rig their stocks so that people can't vote, or if they do have voting stock, their votes are so diluted that they can't form any sort of actual change. So, yeah, it's like trying to reform gynocentrism from within. But what works, because gynocentrism doesn't work long term, it's basically a self-correcting problem. If you just had competition, these companies that are run poorly would lose market share. These companies that fuck over their customers would lose market share. But as long as the government is keeping competition out and enforcing these monopolies, there's nowhere for anyone to go to. So they have to give their money to Comcast. They have to give their money to Verizon. They have no choice.
Yeah, and that's the reason why they were blocking Google Fiber as hard as they were, because they weren't scared of Google itself. What they were scared of was Google bringing in another internet spine. And if another internet spine comes in, then it's not going to be in a centralized way, and they'll actually be able to allow other companies to start up.
Right, and that's the thing. The government isn't the solution to the problem. The government is these companies, these tech companies, on their own have no power to stop Google Fiber. None. They can't do shit. But once they get in bed with government, they can try to pass regulations, they could give money to senators, and they can get Google Fiber blocked. Government is the problem. People say, like, oh, we need government to stop these monopolies. The government creates the monopolies. The government enforces the monopoly. Without government, there can't be a monopoly, not long term. Like, look at De Beers. I love using De Beers as an example. They're a diamond company. They effectively bought every diamond mined on Earth. They absolutely control the source of diamonds. So they actually have a natural monopoly.
They also bought out the companies that artificially create diamonds as well. They just went through and bought 2/3 of them. I think it was 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Can build that company though.
Yeah, but they can't stop more companies from springing up. Again, this is the problem. Okay, so De Beers bought all the diamond mines, and then they started jacking up the price of diamonds, and then people started creating their own diamonds, and De Beers couldn't do shit because they can't own. So yeah, now they bought the diamond making companies. Okay, more companies will spring up, and you can't be without government unless they get a government law passed that nobody can make diamonds other than De Beers, which requires government. They literally cannot stop competition.
They're actually trying that in Australia right now, aren't they? I remember hearing something about that. People were up in arms about it. They're all like, "What the fuck is this?"
Oh yeah, no, I'm positive they would love for the government to ban the creation of diamonds to enforce their monopoly, but it only proves my point that even a natural monopoly like De Beers, which owns all the diamond mines, cannot maintain a monopoly without government. So if you are worried about monopolies, you should not be in favor of more government. You should be in favor of less government, because competition is actually the antidote to monopoly, not regulation.
And I agree with you on that.
China's steel industry is also suffering from that right now because they're going to be actually enforcing some of these environmental regulations, and they want to do that because big steel wants to crush all their little competition.
Right. Well, big companies are always in favor of cost, but smaller companies can't. So they consider, okay, it's going to increase our cost. It's also going to get rid of our competition. So it's a net positive for our company. That's why big companies, you would think, why are these big companies favoring legislation that will hurt them? Is because they're big enough to absorb it, and it will also put their competition out of business and maintain their market share. Again, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
Yeah, and then you end up with situations like Flint. Are you familiar with that situation?
You're talking about Flint, Michigan, or like Flint and Steel?
Flint, Michigan.
Okay, what about Flint, Michigan?
With the lead issue in their water, there was several companies that were not treating the water properly, and the thing is the commission knew about it. But we're sitting there and trying to say that they didn't know about it and that they took proper action when they took absolutely no action whatsoever. And then it comes out that there was a bunch of money being exchanged from hand to hand, and 1 or 2 people got hit with it, and then that was it. Even though there were whistleblowers that were blowing the whistle for like 5+ years on it.
Right. Well, again, the government has the ability to squash whistleblowers in competition, but the market, see, if there's whistleblowers, people are pissed. People know what's going on. If there was a viable competitor, they would have gone to the competitor. And then the competitor would have been gaining market share, and then they would have advertised what the other company was doing because it benefits their business. What you do, this is why the Founding Fathers created separation of powers originally, was because the way to keep government power limited and keep it small is to let the branches of government fight among themselves, because they don't want the other branches to get more powerful because that comes at their expense. So they were trying to use some kind of like a free market mechanism to keep the sides of government down. What they didn't count on is ideologues ceding their power for an end goal. Because if you're a collectivist, if you're a Marxist, you need there to be a strong, powerful government. So you actually want to influence the judiciary and the presidency to have more power, and you want to limit the power of the legislature because it's so decentralized. Like, centralization of power is required to have any sort of communist revolution.
Exactly.
They never anticipated women getting the goddamn vote.
Yeah, their first priority, well, because women value security more than freedom. They're a natural constituent of bigger government.
Exactly. And the thing is a lot of people are sitting there and saying, we should revoke the women's vote. I'm all like, yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that.
Oh no, we don't revoke it. We just need to.
No, yeah, you don't ask their permission. We don't have a vote. Like, okay, we're going to vote. So please vote to remove your own rights. That's not going to happen.
Well, I'm just saying we would have to have an absolute blast in of guys that aren't fucking
Like Muslim
thirsty
guys?
as fuck.
Well, let's see. How do these Muslim zones, how are they able to ignore European law?
By not giving a shit.
Hey, fancy that. So you're saying that when men basically flout the law and tell them, no, this is how things are, and are willing to back it up when the government tries, because they do this in India. There's a place called Nagaland, because India is like Pakistan, but there's a place called Nagaland in northern India. Patriarchal as fuck. Now, Indian women, like India as a country, is very cucked. And the women in Nagaland complain to the government that like the men they're not respecting their rights. So these Indian officials come into Nagaland to try to enforce the Indian law. The Nagaland assassinate them and burn their buildings down.
Well, that's one way to do it. Damn.
Home of the unfuckables.
They don't give a fuck. And also, they're like headhunters. Like, they come from old stock of, like, headhunters that used to, like, kill people and fucking cut their heads off and shit. They don't give a fuck.
The government can't stop a monopoly.
Couldn't give the slightest of fuck.
Only create
basically, the government of India just leaves them alone. Because it's basically Nagaland. And they're Christian, by the way. The Indian Nagas, I don't know what they're called. The Nagalandians, they're Christian. They're not Muslim, but they're super patriarchal. They couldn't give less of a shit. And the Indian government leaves them alone. Just like the Muslims in Europe. They create these no-go zones where basically Swedish or French law do not apply. You have Sharia courts, Sharia patrols. The culture enforces their own rules and regulations, and they don't let women have power or influence. They don't give a fuck. And then when these feminists try to come in, there was actually an interview in France where this feminist was interviewing a woman in this France Muslim community. And these guys drove by and stopped and just started giving them dirty looks. And the woman being interviewed was like, I got to go. And she just left. And that was the end of the interview.
And well, there was also an interview where they went to somewhere in northern Africa. And it was funny as fuck. Because the thing is they were sitting there and asking, do you think that... They were asking women this, by the way. Both men and women, but primarily women. Do you think that it's okay for a man to beat his wife when she, quote-unquote, gets out of line? And the women didn't only respond with yes, but they also responded with, it's necessary to keep her in check, and I wouldn't be with a man that wasn't willing to do that.
Right. Well, you know what's hilarious is we have... there's a girl called Muslim Gal or Crazy Candy. She's been on the TFM show before. She advocates for Islam. And you have these female feminists who are advocating for Islam. It's like, again, to your original point, you're like, oh, these guys are talking about like taking women's rights away. Good luck doing that. There's examples of it happening all around you. You just have to look.
Well, no, I'm talking about in Western culture. I'm talking about in Western culture. Good luck with it, because so many guys are cucked and so many guys are raised by these single mothers.
Oh, exactly. So it's not the women. The women aren't the problem. The women aren't the ones going to stop you. It's the men. Like if the Christians, again, like I'm not saying you have to convert to Islam. Look at what Nagaland does. Nagaland is doing the same thing, but they're Christian. So the Christians in Nagaland have shown you the way. The Muslims in Europe, they have shown you the way.
Nagaland.
Do you know the way?
Yes. But the thing that I'm saying is in this country, it's not really going to fucking happen. And I agree with you that the problem is guys at this point, because guys have lost their balls for the most part in Western cultures.
It's 100%. It's 100% guys. You don't need to red pill women. You just do it.
I'm not talking about red pilling women. I'm just saying that there are so many guys that don't think that they have that power. They have this, they've kind of adopted that victim mentality of there's nothing that I can do, and this nihilistic mentality.
Protocol. Yeah, it's a bonobo. Well, I love this example because this is from DDJ. He did a stream with an anti-feminist called Barbara Here For You or something like that. So Barbara, she's an anti-feminist. She agrees that the laws discriminate against men. They're misandrist. They're bullshit. Women have too many privileges and rights that men don't have, and it's not fair. So then GDJ asked her point blank, what rights and privileges would you be willing to give up? And she said none. Even though she knows they're bullshit, they're misandrist, they're not fair, they're unjust, she's not going to give any of them up. But then later on in the interview, he asked her, if women lost their rights, what would you do? And would you just submit or would you fight? She's like, I'd just submit. So there you go. There you
Yeah,
go. Like,
exactly.
I can't
Women
make
won't
it
fight
any
back.
easier.
It's not in their nature to
They
fight
won't.
back under that. It's not in their nature. Like, a couple of them would be stupid enough and brainwashed enough to try, and then as soon as they fail and their whining isn't being listened to anymore, they're going to shut up.
There's two things that would happen. One, women would, first of all, they would like think you were joking, and then once the pin pan was applied a couple times, they would try to call the white knights. If the white knights weren't, again, like what happens in these Muslim no-go zones, there's no white knights coming. If these Muslim women try to pick up the phone to call the French police because their husband beat them, the French police will never come because it's a no-go zone. They're afraid of the Muslims. But then the husband or like her family won't back her up. Like someone, I'm not going to say who because I don't want to start any drama, but in Iran, these women were protesting the hijab. Like, they were taking their hijabs off in public and flaunting them, and the Iranian government just started arresting them, and they're gonna punish them. And this anti-feminist woman was like saying, "Oh, you think these women's husbands and brothers are just gonna let you publicly punish them? Oh, good luck."
Yes.
It's like, yes, they will. They absolutely will.
They'll take part in the punishment.
You're projecting Western cuckery into Islam where it doesn't exist. The husbands, the brothers, even the sons of these Muslim women will absolutely turn on their own women and make sure that like she gets her fucking ass beat by her husband. They don't give a shit. They're not cucks. Now, I'm not saying we need to convert to Islam, but I'm just saying some cultural appropriation might be called for in this instance. Because right now, Islam is on the ascent. Their population is growing. Their culture is spreading. Western civilization is on the decline. Their populations are shrinking and their countries are receding. If you want to reverse this trend, you have to basically look at what's working and you need to appropriate that. In fact, that's actually what made white Western civilization thrive, was the fact that white people would constantly appropriate what worked, and they were never like, "Oh, we must do it this way," even though it makes no goddamn sense. Like, for example, this happened years ago. I wanted to look into Native American restaurants. I'm like, why aren't there any Native American restaurants? You got Mexican restaurants, you got Chinese restaurants. There's no Native American restaurants. I wanted to actually eat authentic Native American food. So I actually researched what Native American food was. You know what Native American food is?
American food.
Pretty much.
It's Thanksgiving food.
Yeah, basically. It's all we eat all of it at Thanksgiving, and we eat the whole thing.
Right. It's Thanksgiving food. So a Native American authentic ethnic cuisine restaurant would just be Cracker Barrel. So what's hilarious is white Americans have absolutely completely appropriated Native American culture, and no one even acknowledges it, that all this stuff we eat on Thanksgiving is actually Native American food. Like, no one gives a shit. And like, Native Americans aren't going on like fucking BuzzFeed talking about cultural appropriation like the way black people do with white people who wear dreadlocks or some shit. So it's dumb. But the thing is white people were never afraid to copy what they knew worked. Like, the reason why the Americans won the Revolutionary War is they copied the guerrilla tactics they learned from the Apaches. Because the Apaches had a technological disadvantage, but they made up for it by being really sneaky and being really good with a knife. So they'd sneak into you and they'd fucking gut you like a fish, and you wouldn't even hear them coming. They were like ninja.
Well, it was the same thing with the French military up in Canada. They actually hired on different tribes to go in basically as their special forces, and it usually came down to them not even having to use their own troops at that point.
Well, and also a lot of the actual special forces, they get close quarter combat training in knife techniques that were originally developed by Native Americans. So appropriating what works is actually what allowed Western civilization to thrive and grow. So I'm just saying, the truth is out there. That's all I'm saying. It's right in front of your eyes. You can see it working right now.
If anyone ever accuses you of appropriating their culture, you just say, "Shut up, quit speaking English to me. You're appropriating my culture."
Well, yeah, I've used that line where I'm like, "Why are you using talking English to me on the internet? That's appropriating white culture."
Oh, why are you drinking clean water? That's also appropriating white culture.
You need to get a leaf. You need to scribble on it with a stick, and then you need to present that leaf to me in person after writing an ostrich. We'll go with an ostrich. We'll ride an ostrich over to my house present your leaf to me, and then I'll be very impressed with your moral outrage.
Yeah, exactly. It's all like, and I always find it funny whenever these people are talking about cultural appropriation. I just look at how they're dressed, and I'm all like, you do realize that everything that you are wearing has come from a different culture. You do realize this, right? And you're sitting there and saying that me saying this one thing or liking this one thing makes me guilty of cultural appropriation, and I should be sent to fucking prison for it? But somehow you're squeaky clean? Fuck off.
What it is they want credit, they want money for it. So it's like they don't want you, like if they do something, they don't want you to take it. They want you to hire them to do it.
They're like the record companies of, fucking fashion or something.
Like they think they own like a patent on something. Like, oh no, you didn't pay you have to pay a license fee to cook that meal. Yeah, it's fucking, they're stupid. Honestly, no matter what you do, it's like bitch is bitch, and you can't win with SJW, so just ignore them and tell them to go fuck themselves from the very beginning. Don't even argue with them. Don't try to convince your case, because and certainly never apologize or give in to them. Just tell them to go fuck themselves and just do it anyway. And whatever they're going to do, they were going to do anyway.
The 7 magic words.
Well, go ahead and take a look at the whole Weinstein thing. It didn't matter what he fucking did. They just kept pressing the attack, getting more. And now he's finally showing a backbone, and all of a sudden they're scattering like roaches.
Well, yeah, now I mean, look how quickly Rose McGowan became unglued once people started to push back. She's attacking Alyssa Milano. She's getting into verbal fights with trans people. All it took was Harvey Weinstein to fucking find his pimp hand. Just a little bit, and now everyone's scared.
It's not even his pimp hand, because, like, let's be honest, this guy has not even begun to fight yet.
That's true. No, you're right.
This is the pimp pinky nail, and she's already coming unglued.
Yeah, this is the pimp, fucking sissy slap.
This is that threatening drawback with the pimp hand. He hasn't even swung it yet. It's just that threatening drawback, and they're recoiling from it.
Yeah, they're like, oh, save me, patriarchy.
These cucks, like that scene in Blank Man, goes up to Weinstein and goes, slap me around and call me Susan.
Yep. Okay, so the podcast is up on Patreon. The 278-2018 podcast. So just so you know.
Okay, cool, sweet. So you guys all heard it. If you're Patreons for him, it's up on his Patreon. If you're not Patreons, why the fuck not?
It's only $1. Like, I mean, my highest tier is $10 a month, and unlike a lot of these YouTubers who are like, I'll talk to you if you give me $100. Like, I don't give a shit. For $1 a month, you get full access to the 420 show a week early. You basically get access to it the day it airs. For $5 a month, you get access to the Patron Pit where I hang out after podcasts. And for $10 a month, you get priority. If you want to come on the show as a guest, you get priority access. Those are my only 3 tiers. I don't have like a tier where, I'm going to fucking send you dick pics or anything. I've asked, like, you guys want dick pics? Nobody's taking me up on it. So
you want to sell Cena pics?
They do. I actually have sold pics on Instagram from these guys who think she's real. It's quite funny.
I don't know. Maybe if you can go ahead and make yourself passable like that one guy, maybe you'd get some takers.
You know what? I don't think you could dress a chimp. Well, hold on. Let me try. Let me see what I can do. How's that grab you? How's that?
Oh God! Oh God!
Does that work for you?
Things that you see you can't unsee.
If it was only shaved.
Right, like the shaved orangutan prostitute.
Oh my God! I heard
actual women prostitutes for profit.
Yep, pretty much. Okay, I'm gonna make last week's 20 show.
The shaved orangutan.
The reason why the orangutan was pulling more money, right? The orangutan was completely incapable of nagging the person afterward.
I don't know. You know what? I don't want to think about why shaved orangutan. I'm just going to let that be between them.
Let that be between the Johns and their orangutan.
Yeah.
Right, seriously. No, when I heard that story, I was all like, dude, that should be an epic blow to every woman in the world at that point. It's like, you got passed up for an orangutan.
Well,
Damn.
You know, another epic blow is Celestina has 616 followers on Instagram.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Let that sink in. And I'm actually proud. I actually posted this on Twitter. A guy called Morty messaged, like, he basically responded to a picture saying, "Damn, you're hot." And I'm like, "Thanks, Morty, but you should rise above and focus on science."
Oh, God.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So yeah, I like trolling people. But I had an Indian guy give me $5 to see my bobs, so I sent him a topless pic of Celestina, and he's like, "Thanks." And I'm like, "There you go, buddy. Enjoy topless pictures of my sex doll." I didn't tell him it was a sex doll. I didn't want to ruin the fantasy for him. I wanted him to think he actually got bob pics.
Dude, Raging Golden Eagle's sex doll is fucking extreme. Jesus Christ. Did you see that video?
Yeah. No, it's a good video.
Explains a lot.
They make dolls that have like unnatural, like Celestina. Yeah, she's smoking hot, but she's still realistic. Like, a woman could conceivably look like her. She'd be a 10 out of 10 supermodel, but she's still within the realm of human proportions. But some of these dolls that have like size M boobs, like they look like they're fucking holding toddlers on their chest. Like toddlers are like hanging onto their neck. Yeah, that's insane.
Like Raging Golden Eagles, her boobs are bigger. One of her boobs is bigger around than my torso, and that's saying something.
Yeah. Right, like that's back problems right there.
But you know, at the same time, I'm one of those people. I'm heavily into anime, and so I can understand where he's coming from.
Right? No, I totally get it. You know, and the thing is that's actually good, because if you're into, basically, your ideal woman isn't humanly possible, then your only chance to actually have that in real life is through a doll. Whereas if you just have really high standards, or you just find, you know, what, like, I'm not into the cartoons and the anime much. So obviously Celestina she's super hot, but she's realistic. But you know, if you're into unrealistic body types, then definitely get a doll. That's your only chance, unless you want to find a girl and like have her wear prosthetics or something like that, which is like, nah, just get a doll.
Serious plastic surgery.
Yeah, like that woman who turned herself into a cat through surgery. She got like a cat nose.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Don't even start on that one. God,
it's very unattractive, by the way.
She have turned herself into a shaved orangutan.
Well, the other thing is, a lot of these women who get the plastic surgeries, once they hit the wall, their face goes all fucked up because of all the plastic in their face. So with a doll, dolls are wall proof. So if you get a doll and then you can get some Halloween costume makeup, you could turn it into a cat, you could turn it into whatever the hell you want, and it'll always stay that way.
Hell, you can get a replaceable head for whenever you're in the mood, whatever.
Right, yeah. Well, you can get multiple wigs. Well, you know, you look at Celestina's Instagram, like with the Ayane cosplay where she had the purple hair and the red eyes, she looks completely different. That's just a wig and eyes. Like, imagine with a different head, you wouldn't even know it's the same doll. So yeah, just a little bit of customization, changing out the wig, changing out the eye color, or changing out the head. You basically have unlimited options when it comes. And you can have
it gives you all the variety that you could ever want. And they've proven that guys get bored and then want variety. And so this is a perfect solution.
Well, if you notice in anime, since you like anime, if you notice, because they've perfected the ideal female form for anime. So if you notice, a lot of anime characters are the same body type, the same face type. They just change out the hair, clothing, and personality, but they're the same character.
Actually, I'm going to be covering the kawaii culture in Japan in an upcoming stream that I'm planning on doing. Spoiler alert, guys. And anime is actually going to be part of that, and I'm going to be talking about anime. If you would like to join in with me on it, feel free, man.
Raging Golden Eagle might be I used to watch anime in the Toonami era, but I don't really follow it anymore. I have nothing against it. I'm not like anti-anime at all. I just don't have time. I don't really watch a lot of TV, period.
Yeah, anime is pretty much the closest thing to TV that I watch. Like the only non-slice of life or / harem anime or ecchi anime that I watch right now is the new Dragon Ball Super.
Oh, hold on, Celestina's got. All right, so I have an appointment in 30 minutes, so I gotta get going pretty soon.
All right, man. Well, thank you for coming on to onto my channel and all that.
We still got a couple minutes if you want to finish the topic. I'm just saying, like.
Okay, cool. But yeah, but just so I can say it right now, thanks for having me on your thing. I'd like to come on next time and then actually be a little bit more talkative. And now that I know about the link, I won't interrupt anything. So, and I do apologize for that.
Oh no, it's that. I thought we told you about the.
I had no absolute clue about that, and it was my first time ever doing a stream on Twitch, so I was completely out of my element there, man. I do apologize for it.
No, it's fine. You just need to have it open that way, because when there's an alert, you'll hear it, and then you'll just know. Okay, Celestine alert. I'll second, because otherwise I have to shush you. I have to, That's I'm not mad. It's a learning process. It's one of those things that people don't think about. We ran some experiments. We tried to have the Celestine alerts go through the normal microphone, but it was causing an echo. So we had to.
It always does, yeah. Alerts like that, because I've had some experience with them on YouTube, but every time I try to use something like that, it always echoes and then distorts, and I'm like, oh fuck that.
Right, but I'm not mad. I just it is what it is. That's why we have the links that you open up in your browser and just have it open. And then if there's a Celestine alert, you see it, and then you'll know that we're not talking.
Yeah, fair enough. And also, I'd never done a stream with you guys, so I didn't have a feel for the flow of it. So I didn't know when it was okay to jump in, when it wasn't okay to jump in, and all that sort of thing. So.
Oh no, you're fine. Yeah. Oh well, me and DDJ are ranters. I mean, if you've watched any of my streams, I'm prone to rant.
Yeah, I knew that going in.
There you go.
But
so you just have to kind of cut me off, start talking, and I'll either shut up or I'll. It's like a male space. I notice whenever I have British guests, they're very polite, and then they kind of do this passive aggressive. I didn't get to talk very much during that stream. Like, well, you should have said something like, but that would have been unpolite. Like, well, that's why you lost the Revolutionary War, buddy. just saying, that's why.
Okay, yeah, no, I just didn't.
People are afraid of the sweet corn challenge.
Yeah, it's just I was on basically your channel, and so I didn't want to like step on any toes or anything like that, and so I was a little bit more withdrawn. As you can tell, I'm typically very talkative, so
yeah. No, you're fine. You're fine. See,
I'm very patient about the autism. So.
I don't take offense if you cut me off. If I'm in the middle of a point I'm trying to make, I'll like basically cut off your cut off and tell you, let me hold on, finish this. But then I'll be polite and say, okay, I finished it. Now you go. So
okay, so we're the same on that.
Yeah, but you don't need to. This is a guy space. We're just talking. This isn't like, motherfuckers, this is my channel. You respect my authority. I don't give a fuck. So
well, pretty much the only people that I've ever really done live streams with, other than like Dillagaff and Sin Religious, was from Staying Free MGTOW's group, and so it was a completely different fucking dynamic there, and he ended up pulling that shit of trying to constantly overtalk me and that sort of thing, and it ended up getting him uninvited from my channel. Period. End of story.
We had Staying Free MGTOW. There's a stream I did. I was playing Layers of Fear. If you want to watch that podcast, Staying Free MGTOW was there, and holy shit, he would not. It became a meme like halfway through the stream because he just kept talking and talking. And this was the first stream I did with APOC, who's actually like one of my mods now, and it was actually kind of funny. But yeah, like Cat ended up banning him because he's so obnoxious that he was just bad for the show.
Yeah, I actually did, I think, 3 or 4 live streams with him before I finally got fed up with his shit. But what really got me fed up with his shit was he brought in Traversable MGTOW because I called out Traversable MGTOW on throwing out baseless accusations of pedophilia at people. And I'm all like, look, we dog feminists for this shit.
Lot of that going around lately.
Yeah, but I called him out on it, and SFM, for one, invited him into the stream without my permission, without my knowledge, without any foresight or anything on it. And then the guy comes in, starts fucking bashing on my channel, and finally I just lost it, and I went with my Italian voice.
There you go.
And And I told him to go fuck himself, just lost it right there on stream.
You told him to go fuck? Oh, man, that's out of control.
And
telling a man to go fuck himself.
But it was just one of those situations. I'm not typically like that. I'm only like that with feminists. But that's because of and it's only once they get me to that breaking point. And
I'm just fucking with you, man.
But I'm typically not like that, and so it actually took my subscribers by surprise. They were like, "Holy shit!"
Right.
And so then I ended up telling Staying Free MGTOW to go fuck himself and to never come back on my channel. And I banned him right then and there.
Oh shit!
And
real strong language, man.
But I never.
There are kids watching. I don't know if you should.
You're
gonna corrupt their fragile.
Oh yeah, because it's not like kids' entire lives revolve around the word fuck from the age of 5.
Dude, I don't give a shit. You're fine.
Jesus Christ.
You're making a big deal out of it. I told him to go fuck himself. Yeah, it's like, it was like we had a.
It's because it's not like me to do that. And that's where it was all like, once you get me to that point, once I actually start raising my voice to the point where you can actually hear that bass growl to it, that's when you're all like, okay, maybe I should back the fuck off at this point.
Right. Oh, I mean, yeah, I'm super laid back, but when I get pushed to a line, like telling you to go fuck yourself is like the least of your worries.
Yeah, like honestly, with me, there's always that silence before the storm too. That's when people know. It's all like, uh-oh, Ryu's not talking. What's about to happen?
Yeah, no, I don't play that. I'll tell you straight up, dude. You need this path you're on. You need to turn around right now because you're about to piss me the fuck off.
Yeah, I'm typically like that. I typically give the warnings, but he gave me no chance to give any warnings, and he said that I was being hypocritical with calling him out on the pedophilia false claims. I'm all like, okay. I've never, ever done anything like that. At any point, you can watch every video I have. You can quote me all you want. It doesn't matter. You will not get that from me without remixing my voice. That's the only way you can get that.
Well, I don't think anybody's pro pedophilia. Like nobody's pro. These accusations, basically, back in the day with Traversable, his original accusations were more or less, if you don't set your channel to 18+, which completely demonetizes your entire channel. If you set your channel to 18+, you make no money. So if you don't demonetize your channel, and if you use a cartoon avatar, or if you use some kind of anime avatar, anything that could potentially be, basically saying if you use a cartoon anime avatar, and if you don't set your channel to adult, which completely demonetizes you, you're trying to attract children, and thus you're a pedophile. That's so shaky. Like I'm using an anime avatar, and I don't set my channel to adult because I actually want to get paid. Thus, I'm a pedophile. That's fucking retarded. That's almost as retarded as attacking someone's sponsor, accusing you of pedophilia because the dolls are short, according to your subjective standard.
Exactly.
When these dolls come from fucking Asia, where the women are short.
Well, what else can you expect from a guy who got hoodwinked by angry fucking MGTOW?
I just want, it is what it is. Kudos to Angry MGTOW. That shows some holy shit. I never would have thought he had it in him.
Right? Like that was really surprising to me.
That's epic. I underestimated Angry, but he showed that he has it when it counts.
Yep. Definitely. I mean, Angry MGTOW, like with him, it just seems like with him, it seems like he's very homogenized, but when he really sets his mind to it, oh, no. He's got some unique shit of his own, and he's got some tricks up his sleeve.
Well, he needs to figure out how to, because whenever he streams, it sounds like dog shit. So it's like, he's pretty smart, obviously. Why can't he figure out how to make a stream that isn't dog shit?
I have no room to judge there because my streams are always all over the place.
But your microphone isn't, like, listen to Angry's audio quality.
Yeah, I can't. It makes my ears bleed.
Right. Like, dude, this is all you do. When all you do are live streams, how do you suck at them so bad? Like, usually if you throw enough hours at something, you get some level of competence. How are you still? It's like Dark Side Phil. It's like, how do you suck so bad at video games when it's all you fucking do?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is like with me, my mic quality sucked at first because I was literally recording videos on my phone. No editing, nothing. And I was just walking around outside and that sort of thing. And people said that I was brave for showing my face and talking about MGTOW shit. And I'm all like,
well,
really?
It's gonna bite you. Well, it's not brave, it's kind of stupid. So unfortunately,
I agree.
You showed your face, and even if you take those videos down, it's too late. Someone
exactly. That's the reason why they're still up. I'm all like, fuck it.
Yeah. Well, just saying. I mean, how old are you?
I'm 32.
Okay. Do you have fuck you money?
No, I don't have fuck you money, but I also have a very low standard of living. When it comes to it, I'm not an expensive person. I am not an expensive person. I'm one of those rare people that can actually live off of flipping a burger job. I'm one of those rare people. That's how cheap it is for me to live.
Well, worst case scenario, you might have to change your name and grow.
Unfortunately, they've got video of me with a beard, without a beard, with a mustache, without a mustache, all that shit.
All right, you may have to get a rainbow afro wig, John 3:16 sign.
Oh God, I kind of want to go ahead and do that just as a joke anyway.
Okay.
But no, it's just one of those things of, I've always been one of those people. I've always been very open and honest about my opinions. I've been a very opinionated person since I was 5, and so people around my city where I live, they know me, they know who I am, they know what I'm about.
Okay.
So it comes as no surprise to anyone at all. So I wouldn't have been getting away with it anyway.
Oh well, obviously it's too late. So I truly hope nothing happens. I hope you. My advice is hide your subs. Turn your sub count off. That way, because if you get too big, people are going to start attacking you, and they're going to dox you, and they're going to harass you. And I'm not saying it'll work forever, but it'll work for a while. If your sub count is off, it kind of it lets you get filtered out, the people looking for someone to fuck with. So I would recommend turning your sub count off.
People have already tried to fuck with me. People have already tried to dox me, and I'm all like, whatever. I'll put the information out there myself. What?
Well, don't do that. Don't make it easier. At least make them work for it.
Well, the thing is where I live right now, even though I live in California, it's one of those areas where it's all like, we all take care of our own.
Okay. Well, I truly hope nothing bad happens. I hope that you can speak your message and not get fucked with, or you could bounce back if you with.
Well, I have more than a few subs from this area, and the thing is, I get a lot of support. And, it was kind of weird. Once my channel actually started even somewhat taking off, I mean, I'm talking like 120 subs. I ended up going out, and there were a couple places that I went to that actually just gave me free shit, and I'm like, it's not like I can advertise for you. Come on, guys.
That's funny. I'm still waiting for the day where I see someone wearing one of my shirts out in public. Like I'm just walking around, someone's wearing a turd fling shirt. That'll be a good day. Like, yes, I did it. Yeah. I saw someone wearing one of my shirts in public.
Yeah, no, that would be an amazing thing, especially on that first time.
All right, my 15-minute alarm's about to go off, and then I do have to go.
All right, man. Have yourself a good one. Thank you again for having me on your podcast. Hopefully, I can join you again at some point.
Yeah, that's cool, man. You have a good mic. Really, to make the cut when it comes to 420 guests or something, just have to have a decent mic and be too autistic. I can mind a little autism, but if the tism is too strong and it becomes disruptive, then I gotta cut you loose. Nothing personal. It's just like I don't want to bring the whole show down.
Oh, it's fair enough. It's fair enough. I'm the same way. It's all like, look, if you're gonna latch onto one thing, make sure everyone else is latching onto it too, including the audience. Right. But if you're not gonna, if you're the only one latching onto it, you need to learn to set it down and go. And right now, I'm using my gaming mic, so.
No, yeah, it's good quality. Oh, see, there's my alarm. So.
All right, man.
I have to.
Have yourself a good one. Thank you again.
All right. Take care, man. See you later.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.
So when are y'all going to become New California over there?
It would actually be the state of Jefferson. That's actually the movement at this point. And it's looking like it's not going to happen anytime soon without a bloody civil war.
Of course.
I have my guns ready.
Bro, that's going to be a lot of AIDS being spread around.
Man, they've been
well, at least in California,
Jefferson
it's not illegal anymore.
Well, no, it's still illegal, just not as illegal.
Yeah, it's a slap on the wrist. It's literally the same. It's the same punishment. Like, if you purposely go out and give someone AIDS in California, the punishment is literally the same as if you were to walk up to a person and slap them in the face for no reason. It's the exact same punishment category.
Yep. I don't expect
California.
anything less. I'm honestly just not surprised anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they also kept me from going into the nursing field because I was going to school for it. I was doing exceedingly well. I had exceedingly high marks. The patients absolutely loved me, and the teachers absolutely loved me. No one could fault me on anything. But then I heard about that law coming down where if a guy with a beard longer than mine and a voice deeper than mine said, "No, I'm a pretty little lady and you're going to address me as such," I had to address him as pretty little lady. Fuck that. Part of my job as a nurse would be to treat mental disorders and to work my way around them, not indulge them. Fuck that noise.
Well, once you don't have any expectations, you just kind of... You're just not disappointed or surprised.
But yeah. It's funny. One of my friends wanted me to talk about the politics of California, and one of my subs actually wants me to talk about the politics in California and the economics of California. I'm like, oh, that's going to be some depressing research. Fuck. I mean, I know a lot of it off the top of my head, but I want to look in to get to the real fucked up shit, you know?
Right.
Because a lot of people know about the surface level bullshit, like pronoun crap and all that. They know about all that common shit, but they don't realize exactly how deeply entrenched we are in this liberal crap.
Oh, us folks over here in Tejas are getting a first-class education just watching the city of Austin.
Oh, yeah. Jesus Christ. I feel so bad for anyone who lived in Austin before the migration. That's absolutely fucking horrible shit. Weren't the people in Austin bitching about the government coming in and helping during the hurricane?
I can't remember.
Because I remember there was some group that was sitting there and saying, it's all white men. It's all like the people in the hurricane were all in the hurricane zone were all like, shut the fuck up.
Oh, no, I remember this. What they were getting pissed off about is that they were helping like the richier parts of Houston first. But what they weren't taking into account is that that's where a lot of the main fucking roadways ran through. So they were trying to get the roadways cleared out so they could get more fucking help into the city. And they threw a fucking fit about it.
Yeah, people are so one-track minded, it's not even funny. And it's kind of ironic that it was kind of a one-track system to get in and out, and they needed to clear that one-track system, and the one-track minded people couldn't see the value in the one track. Like, I was sitting there, I was watching that shit, I'm like, you're literally bitching about getting help. And same with that one area in Mexico. They were bitching about the help that they were getting. So, like, you do realize that was a humanitarian thing, right? That they didn't owe you that. We could have just let you drown.
Yeah, us people in Texas don't have much love for the federal government. It was a few years back. I think we had like literally half the state was having like the most massive fucking wildfire, and we couldn't get the goddamn National Guard to come down here and, I don't know, try to fight it.
Yeah, no, I can't blame anyone for disliking the federal government. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm one of those people, I hate the federal government as much as anyone else. But it's all like, when they're helping you, don't bitch about it. It's like the one time they're actually doing their job and then you're going to bitch about it? Really? Come on.
These are the same people who turn around and like, well, Texas doesn't give enough money to the federal government. I'm like, well, fuck you. What do we get for it?
A dick in the ass. That's about it. It's what California gets. Like, I think it's so funny, it's all like California, one of the biggest voting blocks in the country, and it's all like, oh, you actually need some help? You can help yourselves, even though you're up to your eyeballs in debt for the next, 40 millennia. It's fucking absolutely stupid. I'm like, good God. But the thing that Southern California is having an issue with is we don't want to take half the debt with us when we form the state of Jefferson. And we're all like, because we didn't have a voice in it. We didn't have a say in any of this shit. You all made this decision unilaterally. You made the decisions. Fuck you. You deal with your problems. We'll deal with our problems because we're starting up a new state that's not going to suck, asshole. It just kind of ticks me off whenever I hear people sit there and say, well, you guys benefited too. No, we're the ones supporting your asses. Northern California is the only profitable part of California. And that's including Hollywood.
Because it's a funny thing that California's like the third largest economy in the world, and they still can't fucking pay their bills.
Yeah, well, it's because they're giving all their money away to illegal immigrants. Let's be completely fucking honest. I mean, that's where a lot of our money goes. If you actually look at our budget, there's more money budgeted to giving free money and education to illegal immigrants that will never have to register or anything like that, that don't actually have to be working towards being contributing members of society at all. There's no expectation of that. There's more money allotted to that than to our public education system. For our children that are born here, our actual citizens. Or to help our citizens, or our veterans, or anyone else. You add all those groups together, and you might get close to the amount of money that goes towards illegal immigrant relief programs. Maybe. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's all like, they're like, where's all the money going? You're giving it all away, and it's disappearing across the border. That's where all the money's going, guys.
It's a Scooby-Doo mystery.
It pisses me the fuck off. And when Trump sat there and said he was going to start the wall in California, I'm all like, that's not going to work. They're just going to swim around it. And there's no one in California that's going to fucking stop them until they get up to the North State and they don't want to come up here. They voluntarily don't come up here. Because then they're expected to work.
You see, here in Texas, we don't need to build a wall. We just need to put piranha in the Rio Grande and then put a big old sign up that says, Chompy in El Aqua.
Oh, God, that would be funny as shit.
In my state, we have to take guns seriously.
What was that?
I was saying in Texas, you actually take guns seriously. AKA, guns are the original Homeland Security. Second Amendment, I mean.
Yep.
There's a joke that I always say. You notice in these Hollywood movies, you never see the aliens invading Texas because we fucking shoot back.
Right?
Right.
And the funniest thing is the only movie where you've had anything even remotely close to a threat that's been shot up here, the only movie that's been shot up here was Jurassic Park. The second one. Jurassic Park 2. They shot it at one of our coastal towns.
Oh, Jurassic Park 2?
Yeah, the part where the raptors are converging in on the people running across the field. Yep, that was up here.
I'm sorry you had to be a part of that movie.
Hey, you know what? Yeah. I didn't think it was a horrible movie, but also at the same time, I hated the fucking Greenpeace bullshit. But I loved how they were all like, how they actually called Greenpeace out for being terrorists. I loved it.
Well, no, people are nerds for Star Wars. I'm a nerd for Jurassic Park, but even I have to admit the movie's shit, but I still like it because it's got dinosaurs in it.
See, I liked it because of the fact that it was that kind of stop fucking with nature, or nature's gonna fuck with your cities. I kind of liked that aspect to it. And I'm by no means a tree hugger. Ever. At any point in my life have I ever been. But it was kind of that thing of like, yeah, maybe stop fucking with genetics. Just maybe. If you're gonna fuck with genetics, do it through eugenics type of thing. Do it in the confines of nature.
The one thing I hate about Jurassic Park the most is that not enough women get eaten. I mean, Jurassic Park 2, just take an example of that. When they're running through the field, all the dudes got eaten, but all the chicks, they just somehow magically survived.
There was two chicks that got eaten in it. There were two chicks, and they were in the background, and it wasn't a noisy death or anything like that. They didn't even going down. It was a silent takedown.
I didn't see that. I was looking, and I didn't see it.
They're way back in the background. They're really hard to spot because they're so short.
Well, think about it. On an island full of dangerous dinosaurs, how many women do you think they'll send?
Well, they're not going to... I mean, realistically, they're not going to send any.
Well, if I'm in charge of it, I'm going to send only women, because I figure it this way. At that point, if I send American women, those dinosaurs are going to die from high cholesterol.
Damn.
Damn.
Send some of those fat, fugly feminists with the hair dye. They'll probably die from poisoning of the hair dye first.
Right? Seriously. The dinosaurs might not even come near them. They're all like, what the fuck is that smell? That thing's already dead. Why is it walking?
Of course, you got that one dinosaur that had to try it. He's like, guys, don't do it. It was awful.
No, he drew the short straw. He drew the short straw.
Short straw.
He's all like, oh god, why? Why did I agree to this? They're just watching him writhe in pain on the ground. It's all like, yeah, don't touch those things. Those things are poison.
And that dinosaur's like, hey, I thought you were going to give me $5 if I tried it.
Don't you remember, like, the rule of nature? If it's brightly colored, it's pretty sure it's really poisonous.
Those are the words of DDJ exactly. The hair dye, it's like the colors on a poison dart frog. They're colorful for a reason. It's dangerous.
Yep. I remember. I remember seeing that. Multiple people have brought up that analogy, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, it's fucking true. That's the reason why it's funny.
Right.
Well, that's just how it is in nature.
I mean, everything from the white feminists who dye their hair rainbow colors to the black women who get red wigs.
Yeah, it's
you know, the ones that end up looking like Jinx, so that's why they got mad.
Oh, Big Red. Fuck.
Yeah, you know the Pokemon?
Yep. Oh, Jesus Christ. You know, and it's funny because Jinx was actually based off of Gongro Girls. And so...
Right.
And so it's all like... They ended up making her purple because black people decided that they were gonna get all bent out of shape, saying that that Japan was culturally ignorant while being culturally ignorant themselves. Instead of asking, why is this a thing, and finding out that Gongro Girls basically worshipped black culture, they decided that, oh, this has to be because of racism. They have to be saying that they're better than us and they're making fun of us. It's like, no, they were actually idolizing you until you started bitching about it. And then it all stopped, and now you're not as popular over there anymore. Except for the guys. The guys are still popular there because of the myth of the bigger dick. That's about it. As far as culture is concerned, they created a complete and total clean-cut rift. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's still, there's still references to black culture in there and that sort of thing, but now they're just the stereotypes. It's nothing more deep than that anymore.
Right.
And I think that they really need to stop and check what they're doing, Because it's all like, the more you bitch about this shit, the less people will pay attention to your culture, and the more irrelevant your culture will become, and the more alien and foreign it'll make it, therefore giving rise to people that don't understand your culture, and therefore people that will sit there and look at your culture and call it barbaric. So you bitching about this shit, about the small stuff, is actually breeding legit racists at this point. Especially since they're trying to fight the shit using racism. It's like, Jesus Christ, people. I understand the idea of fighting fire with fire, but that does not apply here. Racism breeds racism. The only way to get rid of it is to actually get rid of it, to just stop doing it. Let the generations die out. There you go. Problem solved. Stop opening up the old wounds. Stop creating new ones.
I think there's a bit more to the racism problem than just the generations. Sorry, phone's ringing.
That's all good. But
okay.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
There's more to it than that, but I mean, that's at least a good jumping off point. And I'm not one of those people that says, oh, racism is generational. That's not necessarily true. I mean, it is to some degree. But what's keeping it alive and well and allowing it to actually grow out of control is this constant focus on race instead of being focused on the individual. They want to make every race this monolith. And it's all like, you don't want to do that because then you get all the positive shit attributed to you as the individual based off of your race, but you also get all the negative shit. And there's a lot more negative shit in any race or culture than there are positives if you really look at it. No culture is peerless. No race is peerless in their history. So how about this? How about we learn from history, don't necessarily forget it, but stop drudging it up as a cudgel to beat your opponents with in something that has absolutely nothing to do with race.
Well, yeah, there's always going to be those who are trying to make everything a race issue. But
but the way that we get rid of that is we stop listening to them. Like Al Sharpton, perfect example. It's all like, stop giving him airtime. There you go. All of a sudden, his power goes right into the dirt, and you put a stop to that endless cycle that he's creating.
I had a black friend who once put it very eloquently, and be warned, there's going to be some racial words dropped in here.
Go for it.
He said, if you don't want to be a nigger, stop acting like a nigger.
And you know what? As a black person, I totally agree.
My ex's dad said the same fucking thing.
Right, and because I've even heard some Klansmen and some Nazis talk, and they say, I don't hate black people, I hate niggers. So there is a difference.
Yeah, and even the Klansmen typically will understand this. I mean, there's some of them that it's just like, oh no, you're black, therefore you're bad. But a lot of them, it's all like they have a problem with a very specific subset and a very specific set of actions that are associated with that subset. Like with me, I obviously don't have a problem with black people. I really don't. You know what I do have a problem with? The whole thug culture. Whether it's perpetuated by a white person, by an Asian person, by a black person. I hate the thug culture. It's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen.
I know. I mean, because I've always hated it my entire life. I mean, I was never born into it. I was actually raised by a two-parent household who actually had strong patriarchal values and didn't tolerate any feminist BS. And that actually had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, because you grew up with self-respect and a sense of responsibility. You notice that a lot of these guys that are in the thug culture either had an absentee dad, a dad that he himself was part of the thug culture and just kind of pieced out as soon as, that 9th month rolled around. Or they were raised by a mother that went out and couldn't quite pinpoint who the dad was. I'll leave you to make your insinuations there.
Right. And I actually, at one point, I did have to live in a city, in a neighborhood that actually had a lot of ghettos. Now, as a black kid who was raised in a primarily white area and raised to actually have common sense and actually say the whole word when I speak, I didn't know how to deal with it. I'm like, what is wrong with everybody here? Why is everybody not speaking proper English? Why does everyone start fights for no reason?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that's one of the big cultural rifts that's there. And people are all like, "Oh, you can't say that that's part of black culture." Why can't I? I'm not allowed to observe statistics? I'm not allowed to listen to black people speak about their experiences? Is that what you're saying?
You can exactly say that that's about black culture. You really can.
And I'm all like, the thing is I'm not saying it to be mean. I'm not saying it to get a sense of superiority. I'm saying it because it's a problem that needs to be addressed. And if they address those issues, guess what? All of a sudden, the entire culture gets elevated.
You know, Thomas Sowell has written some great books about this. One of the ones that I read lately was called Black Republicans and White Liberals, I think. That's a great fucking book. And or Black Rednecks and White Liberals.
I definitely need to read that. That sounds like actually a really good read. Yes, no, I'm judging a book by the cover.
No, it was really good. And he talks a lot in the book about blacks' identity crisis and the way that they do not identify and with other cultures. They're very isolated, and they're very much against cultural appropriation, right? But the fact about it is the redneck aspect of their culture, which is exactly what it is, came from their Irish influence and Scottish influence from all of the Irish and Scottish that before they had their great educational revolution moved to the southern parts of the United States. And then once slavery ended, basically black people didn't have culture when slavery ended. There were more people that died after slavery was ended than there was in like the whole time of slavery, because they basically had no homes, they had no culture, they had no idea how to integrate into the average society, right? The only thing that they could pick up on was the culture that was around them, and the culture that surrounded them in the South was this redneck culture. So they picked up on this redneck culture, which focuses on, well, not necessarily focuses on, but is very uneducated. They don't focus on educating themselves and advancing their society and advancing their culture. And with their own group preference and the way that they have a lot of pride for the way that they are, after adopting this culture, they continued and still to this day perpetuate this culture and this society of education doesn't really matter. There's the language is the same. It's a really great book. You should read it.
Yeah, I definitely need to go ahead and read that book. Another culture that blacks are actually very prevalent in that is kind of in the same vein is Cajun culture. I don't know how familiar you are with Cajun culture.
Cajun culture is a mix of the Southern French culture and the redneck culture.
Yep, exactly. And the thing is it's all like the thing is we all adapt to where we're raised. So, like, if a white kid is raised in a predominantly black area, he's going to pick up those mannerisms. He's going to pick up those attitudes. He's going to pick up all that shit. Just like if a black kid is raised in a predominantly white area, you know, you're going to end up in a situation where those traits are going to get kind of imprinted into the psyche of that child. The thing is when you take them out of that element and then throw them into the element that, quote unquote, they belong in, all of a sudden they have a crisis of identity.
And you know what? You're absolutely right. Because now, for starters, the first 7 to 8 years of a child's life, that environment is going to affect how they're going to develop as adults. Now, fortunately for me, I spent the first 8 years of my life in a desirable area and around people with good head on my shoulders. But when I was suddenly thrust into a completely different state in an area where there was a lot more ghetto culture, I didn't really know, like, wait, what's going on here? And I started to have that identity crisis. Now, where do I belong? Now I'm black, and I'm thinking, am I just not black enough? Am I not like other black people? And I noticed that there were some huge differences between me and the average black person. Now, I wasn't smug thinking I was better than everybody else, but at one point I began to question myself because I was the humble type who just didn't talk much.
You know, that's a really interesting perspective and circumstance that you went through, Blue. I didn't really know that about you. That's really interesting, actually.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing that, because that's an awesome new perspective. I've never actually heard anyone actually have any experiences like that, and it sheds a lot of light onto the situation.
Right.
I mean, at this point, you're a walking example of everything for it. It's all like, and I mean that in the best way possible. And the thing is I don't know if you ever saw. Do you ever watch a YouTuber called Append? I think he's called.
Never heard of him.
Well, the thing is the guy. I think he's actually in India. I think I'm not exactly sure where he's at, but he was sitting there and talking about an article that was written where they were trying to say that Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like 40K and all that in black culture, they kind of view it as a rich white boy hobby, and if you're a part of that culture, then you're at odds with the black culture and you're shunned and talked down to and all that sort of thing, and they say, no, it's too white. Same thing with Mexican culture. It's all like, oh no, that's too white of a thing. You shouldn't be involved in that. What the fuck is wrong with you? And I'm all like, yet they sit there and say that they're completely welcomed in by the people involved in the thing, but that it's somehow a problem with the geek culture associated with it and not the culture that's giving them the hard time.
Right. Well, I mean, take Barack Obama for a perfect example. How many black people came out and said, he's too white. He's too white. This is exactly the type of, anti-cultural appropriation tactics that holds cultures back. I mean, the amazing thing is that people don't understand that cultural appropriation in itself is what has been one of the greatest factors in advancing humanity throughout generations. I mean, people learn from other people. Some people have innovations and some people do not. And those people that don't have innovations learn from other people that do innovate, and you can call that a cultural appropriation, but it's essentially the advancement of humanity. People learn from other people. That's, we're a tribal species. That's how we advance.
Yeah, and the thing is we actually not only piggyback off of each other, but we actually frog leap each other. It's all like one culture will come up with something, another culture will refine it, and then several other cultures will go ahead and branch off of that and create multiple other things. And the process
exactly
repeats.
Right.
That's where we got 90% of our technology. Here's the thing, without cultural appropriation, guess what? Math, computers, the internet wouldn't exist. Modern day economics would not exist.
Yeah, you saw a lot of that when they started taking American inventions and putting them over to Asia, and then Asia would refine the shit out of them and make them just so streamlined.
Well, just take a look at Japan and their internet. It's all like they're an island state, right? But the thing is they have the highest ranked internet in the world. Who created the internet? Us. And where are we ranked? Shit. Why?
Even more historically than that, you can look at their trains. Now, I forget the name of the man who first went to Japan, the first white man, basically, that they saw. He came in he tried to get into the country, and they tried to fight him. He bombed them, blew them up, and basically came in and told them, look, you need to trade with us. You have things here that we want, and we have things that we can give you. And after a little while, they finally decided, and I'm paraphrasing the story, and I can't remember this captain's name, but he gave them a train. He gave them a train for their willingness, like as a gift, as their willingness to trade with other worlds, to trade with Britain, essentially. And when he first brought this train by ship to Japan, and they laid down a railroad and drove this train and brought everyone in Japan out to see this train, they were just so flabbergasted that they had isolated themselves for so long that they had basically cut themselves off from the technology and advancement in the rest of the world. So what they did was this was a huge cultural change in Japan, and they realized that, oh my God, there's so much more out there that we need to know, that we need to explore. This cultural change in Japan is essentially what changed them from being an isolated, nomadic island community to a culturally enriched, education-focused community. And look at what they have done in that period of time. I've seen stuff written that it was estimated that their average IQ at that time was like 70, 80, like common to the same type of IQs of like Aborigines in Australia, right? But what they did was they focused on education. They realized that there was so much more out there that they did not see, that they had not learned, and they were so dumbfounded by the technology that other people around the world had figured out that they completely changed the culture of their country and focused on education. And look at what they have done in the last 150 years. Exactly. They are some of the smartest people in the world. They have, I mean, they were given a steam engine train, right? And they have taken that to the point now where they are the most technologically advanced in train technology in the world. And that's just one aspect. I mean, you were talking about the internet. I mean, all of the greatest technologies that we can think of, some of the smartest people that we know, and some of the people that are the most focused in the world on education and furthering their education are the Japanese.
Exactly. And, you know, the thing is when it comes down to it, I mean, if you actually look at Japan, I mean, there's even more historical evidence there of cultural appropriation working exceedingly fucking well. I mean, if you look at their food culture, the reason why their food culture is so rich and diverse is because they actually went out and basically stole cooking techniques from other cultures. They went out and they would literally send people out with that express purpose. Their language itself, again, stolen. You know, but the thing is all at the same time, they didn't just take it and use it as is, they refined it. They made it more precise. Exactly, they improved it. And then other cultures came in and took it back with the improvements and then refined it and improved it, and back and forth and back and forth. Japan is actually kind of that central point of cultural appropriation if you actually look at it. A lot of people credit the US for it. And to a degree, I can understand why they think that. But if you actually look at Japan's culture, if you look at their technological advancements, their modes of education, their learning styles, their teaching styles, all of that, all of it's come from other areas, but they've refined it down to a fine science, no matter what. No matter how small or insignificant it may have seemed at the time, they dedicated themselves to bettering it. And that's the reason why they boomed out as fast as they did.
That's exactly true.
And I have the utmost respect for the Japanese culture, and it's killing me to see our Western culture going in there and fucking it all up, specifically feminism. It's killing me on the inside. Because feminism's actually starting to degrade all of that. Social justice is starting to degrade all of that. And it's starting to slow us all down. Not just here in the West, but also over in the East. I mean, yeah, you got countries like China that are putting a quick kibosh on the shit, but Japan's much more of a free area. And so the thing is unfortunately, social justice and feminism can thrive in there. There's an anime called Death
another
Note.
thing I was going to say. It's not just feminism. There's social justice, and to a larger extent, the egalitarians, because essentially, egalitarianism, equality, it's a myth, right? It's a utopian dream that it once was an abstract thought that people were like, oh yeah, this is going to be fucking great. Let's make some policy on this shit, without actually ever thinking it through. And people that have utopian ideals that push through all types of, unfulfilling, unthoughtful policies within government is exactly what's pushed us to the point that we are at now.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with that. And the thing is I'm one of those people, you could describe me somewhat as I guess, kind of like how people describe themselves as a classical liberal when they're not a libtard, but they still have the liberal mindset, but not the psychotic one. Kind of like Sargon of Akkad, for example.
Yeah, actually, I was relating earlier because Stardust just put out a video earlier talking about the liberalist movement that Sargon has started and talking about interacting with these people. And I've been on this Discord, and he's exactly right. They thrive on abstract concepts, but they're abstract. I mean, it's like equality. And I spoke wrong. It's not a myth. It's a mirage. And this mirage is something that they see, off out there in the desert. It looks so beautiful. It looks so great, but they're delusional, right? They have these utopianist ideals of what things should be without actually thinking them through to fruition.
Yeah, I agree on that. And by the way, welcome to the stream, Steven, and welcome to the stream, Mascule. Sorry, I've been really concentrated on this, so sorry, chat, for not really interacting all that much with you. I know I typically do, but this is a discussion that I'm actually really, really, really interested in.
Are you streaming right now? Are you recording this?
I'm streaming right now. Yeah.
Oh, right on. Yeah, I didn't know that. Sorry, I've probably got some horrible background because I'm driving right now.
Oh, it's all good. Me and several other people have streamed while having the most absolute shit sound quality ever. So it's not a big deal. People don't come to my channel for production quality; they come for quality of ideas.
There you go, man.
And that's how I like it. But no, it's one of those things. Like with me, I'm kind of more of that classical egalitarian type. My one egalitarian belief that qualifies me as that is when first interacting with someone, like straight out the gate, blank slate, right? Everything from then on builds into your view of them. So you shouldn't sit there and look at someone and go, all right, this person's black, I can expect this. Or this person's Asian, I can expect this. I mean, there's going to be some bias there. Don't get me wrong, we're human. Every organic life form, period, has that mentality about it. Anything that has anything resembling a brain, anyway.
It's like that old Avenue Q song. Everyone's a little bit racist.
Exactly. But the thing is it's actually getting stronger nowadays because of the increased tribalism that we're seeing.
Now, I don't see everybody as being racist. I essentially see people more as having own group preference, right? I mean, and this it relates to everyone, right? I'm looking for a different word, but it basically relates to everyone, and you can see it in natural biology, right? Normal white people, they date and marry white people. Normal black people date and marry black people. Normal Asians date and marry Asians. There are the exceptions, but it's basically an attraction thing, right? Now, you're attracted to your own kind, and twin studies have proved this in history's past. You have own group preference. Every human does, and it's natural. And I don't think that we can quantify that as necessarily a racist type of thing, because racism basically means that you hate all other races besides your own, but that's completely separate from own group preference.
See, with me, I don't look at racism as a hatred of other races. I actually look at it in the, I guess, sterile clinical style definition of racism, which is you thinking that your race is somehow superior to all other races. So it's actually kind of the opposite, but also at the same time, we as organic creatures kind of develop this disdain for that which we find to be inferior to us. Does that make any sense?
It does, yes.
So, I mean, I know that some people have a hard time wrapping their head around what I just said, but it's all like, I honestly think that that's a thing, and I think that legit racism itself actually stems from actual ignorance, but it's usually willful ignorance and not, accidental ignorance.
Right, and I would agree with your position on racism, the actual definition of it being a superiority complex, because that is the actual dictionary definition. Sorry, it's it's the belief that your race is better than another race, and because of that, you look down upon other races.
Yeah, and like me, I don't look down on other races. I mean, if anything, I would look down on the white race just because right now it's cucking the living shit out of itself. I mean, if you're gonna go ahead and do the monolith thing, but that's just because there's not a whole bunch of white people standing up and going, no, that's fucking bullshit. Except the most extreme of the extreme of us. Yet we're the first ones to jump in whenever someone's being racist towards someone else and waggling our fingers at them. It's all like, being self-serving in some respects is actually a pretty good thing. Maybe start practicing that when it comes to defending your own race against people who are saying that your race should be abolished, that it's an abomination, that it's a genetic defect. Maybe fight against those people? Maybe?
I would say so. I mean, I don't really see anything morally wrong with having care for your own race.
Exactly. And the thing is it doesn't matter what race you are. That stands true. But the thing is people are sitting there and thinking that it's okay to do all this shit to white people and that white people should have no say in the matter. It's all like, dude, right there, that is a superiority/inferiority complex that you are hoisting onto white people based off of your own fears and ignorance. Sounds like racism to me.
That's exactly right.
And I absolutely hate that when people sit there and say, well, no, because it's a combination of power and privilege. No, there's nothing about that comes into fucking play. A slave can be racist towards their owner. That is a possibility. I mean, would their hatred...
That's exactly right.
Would their hatred be justified? Yes, it would be.
Of course it would. But it's great that you put it that way, too, because a lot of people don't even think that. I mean, the idiotic idea that black people can't be racist because only white people are racist, as an example, is an exact perfect example of what you just said,
Yeah, and I'm one of those people. I take it to that extreme because, for one, it shocks people and it gets their brain to shut down for a half of a second and reboot, so their logic center kicks back in, at least for a millisecond, and it can plant the seed in there. But also at the same time, logistically, it makes sense as a descriptor. Because I am literally flipping the entire script on its head. And it still holds true. So, it's like, let's go ahead and actually just stop with this whole, oh, this race can't be racist because this. That's called you giving special privilege. So if they start believing this shit, then they're going to be racist towards other races. For one, which is a big problem in and of itself. But then, on top of that, you're being racist not only toward the race that you're saying it's okay to be racist against, but also against the race that you're saying it's okay for them to be racist. Because now you're doing bigotry of low expectation. You're saying that they can't know better. They can't rise above this. You're saying that they are incapable of this because of their race. Damn. If that's not a slap to the face, I don't know what is.
I would have to agree with you there.
And leftists absolutely hate me because I'm one of those people. I defend all races equally. If there's an injustice happening, I'm all like, yeah, no, this is fucking bullshit. But then if they try to commit an injustice to even the scales, I'm all like, no, that's equally bullshit. What the fuck? Now we've got a bullshit sandwich.
Hypocrisy. Everything that the left accuses the right of doing is the very shit they're guilty of.
Exactly. It's much like the male feminists, you know, sitting there and saying, "Oh, well, you're probably a racist, or you're probably a sexist, or you're probably a rapist, or you're probably this, or you're probably that," and then like 5 days later, it comes out that that person was that thing, or like with the Bible-thumping religious right sitting there and saying, "Oh, homosexuality is a sin and they should all be gassed," and then all of a sudden you find them with some guy's dick halfway down their throat 2 weeks later.
Right? It's like all the Hollywood male feminists, you know. All of them have come out for years and years saying, "Oh yeah, we're feminists and this and that," and now you find out that the vast majority of them are sexual assaultists.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all like, dude, you're literally painting a bullseye on your chest at that point. You are attracting attention to yourself.
You gotta ask them nowadays, how is the view of the underside of that bus?
Right? Good God. It's all like, right. How does that wheel taste?
Did it smash your head or did it just cut your neck off?
Flattened his entire body.
And the thing is the funniest aspect of it, and I'll go ahead and I'll take the low-hanging fruit at this point. You know, you got the motherfuckers like Steve Shives where it's all like, how does it feel being under that fucking bus while you know inside of that bus your wife is getting gangbanged by an entire football team?
It's the Zephanian effect, right?
Oh my God. I'm just like, and the whole article, and I'm probably going to end up doing a live stream solely on this one article, and it's probably going to end up being like a 4-hour-long live stream. To be perfectly honest, it's going to be a full fucking rant. But there was this article where they were trying to say,
like those traps that look just like women. Steve Shives is the opposite. It's a bitch brain feminist that looks exactly like a man.
Yeah, seriously. But the funniest thing is they actually wrote an article that was sitting there and trying to say that cuckoldry leads to healthier relationships.
It leads to healthier dicking downs for one person in the relationship.
And I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? It's all like, healthy for who?
Well, you gotta understand.
The girl, obviously.
It's definitely not healthy for the relationship, I'll tell you that.
It's not healthy for the resulting kid that's going to fucking happen. It's not healthy for the woman because STDs, hello. And then, on top of that, it's definitely not healthy for the guy because the guy's going to blow his own fucking brains out eventually.
Right. Nobody wins when you're a cuck.
Oh, and then also society. Oh, let's go ahead and get that, because let's say the guy doesn't blow his own brains out within the first 6 months of it. Let's just go ahead and say that, right? Let's say, you know, it's a Steve Shives situation, right? Then that kid has to then go and explain to the other kids why those other kids saw mommy on a park bench with their dad watching, with some big old burly motherfucker plowing her in the ass. I mean, that's a fucked up thing for a kid to have to explain. And then the kid comes to the realization of, oh, my family's fucked in the head. Shit. What does that say about me? I thought this was normal.
Yeah, and then they grow up screwed up.
And I'm just like, motherfucker, son of a bitch.
Yeah, but these feminists, they only think about themselves. They don't care about their kids. They don't care about future generations. They don't care about the facts. And they don't care about families in general. In fact, it was a feminist that said the nuclear family must be destroyed.
Yeah, it was one of the quote-unquote founding feminists. Or one of the most prominent feminists in feminist literature. I forget what her fucking name is.
I think it was Catherine McKinnon.
It was the woman who wrote the Scum Manifesto.
Okay. I was thinking that was her. I forgot exactly who.
No! It was the one that came after her. It was the one that came after her. She was the one who said that men are an abomination.
It fucks up these children too, because the sad thing about it is that children learn by example. I mean, even before we as a human species could speak, we learned from the mannerisms and actions of other people. That's how we've evolved to be so good at reading people's expressions on their face, right? This is a genealogical adaptation from our evolution. It's something that people don't acknowledge as much recently in current times because we have language that works so well as a communication base. But in the past, we learned from other people's mannerisms, right? So children growing up, they learn from watching their parents. Now, how fucked up do you think a kid is going to be who grows up in that type of environment where he's seeing, multiple dads coming in and banging his mom? And now, of course, as a young kid, he doesn't realize that, that's exactly what's going on. But you can start to see where these, feminist ideals of cucked societies and this whole CNN article bullshit, how is that healthy for a relationship? How is that healthy for raising children, right? I mean, you can start to see when you put all these pieces together how fucked up our culture and our society has become because of these, abstract, idiotic policies, right?
Yeah, and then you have the shit like the Duluth model that literally goes against everything that we can fucking observe, and for some odd reason, they're still accepted because it's meant to protect the women's, And it's like, fuck my life. It's all like, you're literally sitting there and saying that women do not have a choice in their actions, period, end of story. But then, if let's say an extremist MGTOW comes out and says that exact fucking thing that you've been fucking implying there, with this fucking policy that's been in practice for decades, all of a sudden, it's wrong to fucking say.
Standards are a tool of the patriarchy. That's why feminism practices double standards.
Yeah, because they're 2 times as worse as any patriarchy could ever dream of being. And I'm sorry, if we're ruled by a patriarchy, the patriarchy's doing a real shit job right now. Because it seems to me like men really don't have that much of a fucking voice anymore. Not in polite society, anyway.
Observable reality is a tool of the patriarchy, don't you know?
Yeah, right? Seriously, Jesus Christ.
Right.
We need to master quantum physics so we can just send all these feminists to an alternate dimension. They can have their own dimension, we can have ours, we'll all be happy.
An ethno-state doesn't necessarily have to be based on race. It could be based on ideals.
Actually, I kind of touched on that on a stream before, jokingly. But I was sitting there and I was all like, once the artificial womb comes out, what purpose will women serve to men? Like, actually looking at it realistically, what purpose would women serve for men? Why would men want to keep women around?
A tradcon would tell you that it's to have a companion in life,
I actually covered that in one of my videos. Because I actually had someone bring that up to me in real time in a discussion. Not on my channel, but at a bar. Because this one chick asked me the one question that irritates me more than anything else when a woman asks it. Where have all the good men gone? Oh, that one always sets me the fuck off. I don't know why. You think I'd be used to it by now, since they're asking it every other day. But I ended up actually going ahead, and I looked at her, and I asked, what do you have to offer men? Her first answer was companionship. I turned to one of the guys in the bar. I turned to one of the guys in the bar, and I was all like, hey, man, you want to hang out on Saturday? He's like, yeah, sure. And I looked back at her. I'm all like, what else you got? Yes, I am comparing you to men.
This is exactly why they're coming out with these articles that are denouncing bromances.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was funny.
Right? Because what they realize is that they don't have a good companionship status with men. And a lot of it has to do with feminism and their ideals and this destruction of culture because of feminism. But really bromances, and I'm not talking about anything, sexual, just having a best friend, having somebody that you can talk to and relate to that is on your level and is an essential thing, I believe, in normal male life. But the idea that a bromance could not be the same or even better as what women consider this, a we can give companionship is ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous. And you're exactly right. When the artificial womb comes out and women are not necessarily needed for reproduction anymore, and bromances are an acceptable thing, and you can get that type of companionship and closeness that you need from just one of your best friends, you're exactly right. What do women have left to offer? Nothing.
Oh, well, the thing is it was kind of funny because I was talking with one of my friends about the whole bromance things, and his girlfriend ended up chiming in. Of course she did. And she was sitting there and saying that bromances are wrong and that sort of thing. Well, I knew one thing about her that she didn't know I knew about her. And that was that she is an LGBT rights supporter and that sort of thing. No problems with that. Fine. Whatever. But I decided to turn it against her. And I was all like, so you're saying that men should not be able to seek companionship from other men, and that men who seek companionship from other men are unentitled to being able to raise a child because they are seeking companionship from other men? Wow, how homophobic of you.
Right.
My buddy didn't talk to me for 3 weeks afterward because I cost him pussy. I couldn't blame him because that is some hot pussy. Let's be honest right there. I mean,
yeah.
Ooh.
But that's just gynocentrism at its worst right there.
But oh my god, that instantly shut her up. It's like she actually left the house.
That was also some epic cock blocking.
Yeah.
Yeah, your poor friend.
I actually felt bad for him because he has to live with that.
But Tito, what does the scouter say about the cock blocking level?
It's over 9,000. Oh, but yeah, no, nah. It was worth it to me just to see the look on her face because there was nothing she could fucking say about it. Not a single fucking thing.
Just dropping red pills right and left.
My buddy, he was actually laughing about it until I told him, I'm like, you do realize you're not getting pussy for weeks because of guilt by association. You do realize this, right? I called it before it even happened.
Just as long as you're only dropping red pills and not red pill coins.
Oh, God. But, yeah, no, it's... It was actually kind of a fun conversation that me and him had afterward because he said he had never thought of that before, and that the only reason why he was looking to get into relationships was because he wanted to pass on his genetic legacy. Which I understand. I mean, that's a natural want in life. You know, it's something that's kind of hardwired into a lot of us. But I was all like, dude, you need to get someone who can argue a lot better than that, because she literally checkmated herself in the first words that she said to me. You can do better. Because you don't want to be with a woman that can't even argue effectively. Because at least if a woman can argue effectively, at least then you have some level of entertainment. If you're in it for sex, it's called a prostitute or an escort. Or your hand. Or a sex doll. Whatever. Pick your poison. But when it comes to companionship, most guys prefer hanging out with guys because they're on the same wavelength.
Yeah, they have more in common to talk about.
And they're not going to have to worry about saying something that's going to offend. Because if a guy says something that offends another guy, you know, the guy who initially said the offensive thing then says something more offensive. And it just goes back and forth until you're both laughing and drinking together.
You know, it's funny. Most guys that say, "Oh yeah, I have great companionship with women and stuff like that," right? They look for that companionship with women. They're essentially lying to themselves and saying that, you know, they want that companionship when they really just want pussy. It's all about pussy.
See, me, I've actually had some women that I actually got along with.
What you just touched on there is why they have this huge war against male spaces these days.
Oh yeah, good God! And the thing is, were you guys watching the podcast earlier?
Oh yeah.
Well, I actually never got a chance to say it, but I guess I'll say it here. When we were talking about the porn laws in the UK and how it was going to be used to take away anonymity and how it was going to start coming after MGTOW and that sort of thing. Well, the thing is I forget who it was, but someone actually released a video talking about an article that was saying that basically MGTOW is the last true male space left. And I have to kind of disagree with it because there's a lot of women involved in it. But at least the women that are involved with MGTOW and, you know, the MRA and that sort of thing, typically they kind of keep a low profile. Karen Strawn's a oddity.
Wait, are you saying that women like Karen Strawn are involved with MGTOW?
Only in the sense that she doesn't down-talk MGTOW. In fact, she talks up MGTOW and says, you know what, I understand it. I get where guys are coming from on that, and I actually support guys that go their own way. I think it's the smartest thing possible.
Okay, well, I've always considered her like the MRM type, but not someone who's directly involved in quote-unquote MGTOW, because like AVFM and MGTOW are like two totally different things. And just because we occasionally have like a woman coming to a MGTOW channel and like trying to fit in with the guys, that doesn't make her someone who is MGTOW.
Oh, no. I'm not talking about in that capacity, but I'm just talking about there are some women that are actually supportive of MGTOW and that sort of thing, even though MGTOW keeps them at an arm's length. Again, those women understand. But the thing is like with Karen Strawn, she's actually the one who actually introduced me to the concept of MGTOW. I had already like started down the path on my own, but I thought I was just a lone nut. You know? But she actually mentioned MGTOW and, you know, said, you know, and gave kind of the general gist of it, which got me to start researching into MGTOW, and then I just eventually went MGTOW. And so she's actually the lightning rod that brought me in.
You know, she's actually the lightning rod that brought me in too, because this was years and years ago, but I went on a search for an understanding of feminism because it had become so pervasive in the news that I got curious and I wanted to learn more about it. And watching videos of Lacey Green was what led me to Karen Strawn, and Karen Strawn led me to Sandman, and Sandman led me to Barbarossa and Stardust, and you know, it was like I'd found home.
Yeah, it was pretty much the same thing with me. And the thing is I actually kind of discussed this a little bit on my channel, and other people other people that are subscribers on my channel, quite a few of them actually have that very same story, where it was basically like they heard about MGTOW from a woman, like they had kind of heard about MGTOW before, but because it was coming from guys and they were still blue-pilled, they didn't necessarily listen. They thought, like me at first, when I first heard about MGTOW, because Karen Strawn wasn't the first time absolutely that I heard about MGTOW, but the times before were from guys. And I just kind of went into that typical blue pill mindset of, oh, you just hate women.
Ah, okay, I see where you're coming from.
But when I heard it from Karen Strawn, I'm like, why would a woman be okay with this?
It's because she has sons.
Exactly, and she's actually looking out for them. And the fact that she didn't want to take her ex for everything that he had, and it kind of had that situation forced upon her by the court, or else they couldn't get a divorce. Exactly. I'm all like, a woman having even one cell of a heart nowadays is a rarity. That's the same as a guy with a heart made of pure gold, as far as rarity. Because, I mean, let's be honest. We by nature are assholes. Let's be honest. But it's a survival technique.
Yeah,
this is true. Sex dolls on this channel.
Right. I have a. You know what? Considering that. Okay, so you were red pilled by Karen Strawn.
Pretty much, yeah.
That gives me a question here. When did you guys become MGTOW? I mean, like what year? Or should I say how long ago?
Actually, I think it was last year that I became MGTOW.
Okay, last year. Okay, because my MGTOW
like early on, like I've been basically a MGTOW for about a year even now.
Okay. Yeah, my MGTOW story is somewhat unique towards a lot of others. Now, I essentially became MGTOW 10 years ago. This was in 2008, before there was Karen Strawn and before there were all these popular YouTubers. Now, I know the term quote-unquote MGTOW did not exist back then, but I started taking red pills in 2008, or somewhere around early 2008. Because I got tired of being screwed over, and finally what my dad had been telling me all these years, it finally started kicking in and started making sense. And my dad, he was definitely red pill. And I just started looking up resources on the net, did what any nerd would do, research it like it was some sort of term paper. And then the more I found, the more I didn't like, and the more I found, the more stuff actually made sense. And boom, I just went MGTOW and focused on self-actualization almost immediately.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how looking up things that you ultimately end up disliking leads to you opening your eyes about things.
Yeah.
Kind of funny. It's almost like the standard academic model of exposing yourself to other ideas leaves you with only the best ideas left after scrutiny, and helps you grow as a person. It's almost like that was correct from the beginning. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll say. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, sorry, I'm multitasking here, but yeah.
I've been MGTOW for a long, long time before it was really called MGTOW. So.
Yeah, it's always nice to hear from those who have been quote unquote MGTOW for longer than the term has ever been coined. I mean, of course, there's always been MGTOW in one form or another. I mean, even from the times before Christ, I'm thoroughly convinced of that.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yes, going MGTOW is essentially the reaction to gynocentrism, and it's just the inevitable reaction. It's happened in I believe it was ancient Babylon. It happened because there was at one point a child welfare system which would indicate that there was a family breakup of some sort, meaning that stuff like this is not new. There's nothing new under the sun. I also hear the same thing happened in ancient Rome. I also heard about ancient Egypt and possibly for the Mayans and other advanced societies that eventually bit the dust, as far as we know. Now, I mean, of course, I was not there to witness it, but the evidence that I've seen points to the possibility that this is just repeating itself.
And I think that it's funny because all those cultures that you were just talking about, what ended up bringing about their end? Another culture that didn't have those issues coming in and just running roughshod on them.
Right. It's like what TFM says, like how humans become bonobos. Now, essentially, if when a society becomes so matriarchal, it begins to weaken until the point where everybody is just weak and stupid, and then a strong culture can just come in and take them right over with ease.
Exactly. And the thing is I think our culture is actually kind of prepping for that, and the reason why I say that is this whole push for men to be willing to be cucked. I mean, in all honesty, does that not seem like a precursor to another civilization just coming in and saying, yep, ours now?
You know, now that you say that, it does very much seem like it could be a precursor to a type of situation like that, where, especially with, you know, for example, Sweden, you know, we were talking about Sweden earlier in the day, you know, being a cucked society is exactly the type of precursor that Sweden, for example, would need for the women to just be chameleons and flip right on over to the Muslim invasion that's happening within their country and essentially turn against their own culture, their own people.
Exactly.
Mind if I chime in here?
Go for
gentlemen, I've been listening to you guys while laying down for 2 hours because I've been very tired. Pleasure to meet you, Ryuk. Never heard of you before, but typically when it comes to, I guess, modern day stuff and other civilizations taking over, I'd say that there's a better chance of just humanity wiping out in general, because I come from that ethnic background, and it's slowly turning itself and being cucked.
Yeah,
and
I've been hearing some whispers about that lately.
Yeah, I actually hopefully I plan to one day be a content creator, and I will show evidence of this. But
well, I look forward to it, man. Go ahead and get a hold of me when you start creating content. I will definitely watch it, man.
Yeah, and I would also like to know when you plan to have your your stream you were talking about a while back. I've been just like listening for like 2 hours. I was just so tired I don't want to like get up.
Which stream? I've talked about like 3.
I think you were saying something about like Japan and like the weeb culture or something.
Oh no, the kawaii culture.
Yes.
I'm not entirely 100% sure when I'll do it. It'll probably be within the next few days, honestly. If you want, you can actually go to my channel, and I actually have a permanent invite to my Discord there, and I always let people know beforehand.
Is it like the same name as like what you have your username is now, or
yep,
like different? Okay.
Yep, it's the same name. But yeah, no, I've actually had that one kind of waiting in the wings for a little bit. Oh, 1 second. One of my subs has a question. Question for you guys. Aside from the precursor to attempted social upheaval, do you believe we can outlast them? It all depends on if the men in our culture are willing to put our feet down, basically. That's pretty much the whole thing. It's going to take intervention from men, and men telling women to sit down, shut the fuck up, and let us fix their mess.
Of course. It's also, I believe that there is going to be while MGTOW is growing in the West, it is going to be unfortunate because majority of, the population, I believe, would be reduced. While there would be a significant amount of men that would attempt this, it wouldn't be enough to stop it in time. And then, like how you mentioned previously before, there may be like another culture, let's say like the radical Islamic fundamentalists that they try to take over.
That's the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah,
because it's happening right now.
Yeah, I see it. It's a shame. It's a shame. They make good Muslims look bad, but it is what it is. But even then though, they're going to be cucked after a while, because it's just because when people head to new lands and they discover previous societies, they don't realize actually how much of an impact that kind of has on just the geographic location itself. It gets the people just like turning their heads a bit.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly with you on
America
that.
will be an interesting thing when all that starts to go down, because there will be parts of America that probably will come out okay because we're well armed and people here are willing to shoot back. Other parts of America, like California,
not Northern California, dude. Don't lump all of California. California may be shaped like a monolith, but you know what?
Well, that's Jefferson. That's the state of Jefferson.
I gotta give respect to North California. It looks pretty nice over there.
Yeah, north of San Francisco, we must say for sure.
Yeah, but like I said, America will be an interesting case study, because you'll just see probably just new nation states rise up from the ashes of it. So
that's what it's looking like already. Like, in all honesty, again, we're seeing precursors to that. Like, I think it was funny that Southern California was talking a big game, going, "Oh, well, we want to separate from the United States and be our own nation." And Northern California looked down and went, "You're going without us." It's all like, you think you got it bad now, just wait until we're in charge of our own water. Fuck you. Because there's a thing right now, a lot of people don't know this about Northern California. All the dams that we have up here, well, they were built based off of a contract with Southern California. Whenever they tell us to release the water from our dams, we have to do it. Like, even if it'll put us into our drought up here.
Yeah, California is real funny about their energy. And I work in the energy industry. And what essentially is happening is California, because of their idiotic energy regulations, is essentially cucking the whole western portion of the United States, because the whole, from Washington all the way down to New Mexico, the entire western portion of the United States is all on one gigantic grid. But because California doesn't want to essentially regulate their own power because of the dams and the other nuclear facilities that they don't want to participate in anymore, they're basically forcing all of the other states around them to sell them power, so that they can keep face by not saying that they are being environmentalists.
Yeah. But there is one thing that I kind of want to cover, because we were talking about longevity earlier. As far as how our numbers are being reduced as a result of MGTOW. One thing is when I was talking about the whole artificial womb thing, I really think that needs to be fast-tracked, because the cool thing is we're at a unique point in history, whereas before with the MGTOW ideology and that sort of thing, it's lived and died, lived and died, lived and died. It's had to be rediscovered over and over and over and over again. Because we weren't able to necessarily pass it down through generations, because we didn't have any generations. It was a one-generation thing, for the most part. I mean, it was slightly passed down, but in the most minor of ways. But with the artificial womb, that means that MGTOWs will no longer be a genetic dead end.
That is true. That is it. That is the only possibility that
and so for MGTOWs in particular, we definitely need to be behind the artificial womb, because I've heard some MGTOWs say, "Oh, well, that's just stupid." But I'm looking at it and I'm all like, you know what? It's actually not stupid, because the thing is with an artificial womb, if you're literally the only parent, then that means you have full reign over the situation. And we've seen that single fathers actually can create functioning members of society at the very least. We don't just produce prison fodder. I'm not saying that it always goes that way, and I'm not saying that. But looking at the statistics for it, children that come from a single father household fare infinitely better than just about all of the single mother household individuals.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree too. You know, and even as a married guy, I support the artificial womb. And if I could shill for myself for just a second, I actually just put out my own first video last week or earlier in the week, and it basically discusses my status with MGTOW. I support MGTOW philosophy. I frequent MGTOW circles all the time, but I'm actually not a MGTOW. I will not call myself MGTOW because I'm married. And though I was red pill before I got married, I saw no other outlet to have children. And that's essentially what I wanted to do. And, we can talk for days on, the biological directive in having children and wanting to have children. But I put out a video earlier this week discussing the vagueness, essentially, of men going their own way as a definition of an all-encompassing definition of MGTOW, But essentially what I was saying was that I'm not MGTOW because I am married and I chose to get married, and having dependents, having people that literally depend on me for their lives, makes it so that by that definition of going your own way, I literally cannot go my own way at any time I want to,
Yeah, and that is unfortunate, but I actually know a couple of guys that are actually MGTOW that are married. But here's the thing, they are the rare case. Because the thing is they're in a situation where if they needed to go their own way, they would have absolutely no problems literally cutting all ties and moving to another country. And the thing is their wives know this.
And that's a power move right there. I'm essentially in that same position.
Yeah, and the thing is like with me, if things were to get bad enough, I could get myself to another country. I could do it. I'm very resourceful when it comes to shit like that. But it's all or nothing thing at that point, and I don't want to pull that trigger. I don't want that to be a hair trigger. Because that's something that I've got to think through very, very, very carefully.
Yeah, and especially where you're going to go to, because a lot of these countries they're kind of turning into ethnocentric shitholes as well.
Poland.
Poland is the shit.
I would go to Poland and they'd be all like, "What can you do for us?" I can help keep the feminists out. Welcome to Poland!
I'd go there and tell them I can keep the power on and keep the feminists out.
I'll tell them I'll keep the internet and the feminists out.
Yeah, but now that Poland's being all smart, how are we going to crack Polish jokes?
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah, very true, very true. That's the only Polish joke you can crack now, is how do you crack jokes about the Polish?
But you know what? If I was going to go to Poland, I might actually consider taking my wife with me, because Poland supports a patriarchy, and that's the way I live, is within a patriarchy.
Yeah,
and
Poland,
that's the way we live.
Like,
so.
honestly, the only time I would ever even consider getting married would be in Poland, because they're all like, no. If you separate, whoever's at fault, they still have fault divorce. They don't have the whole no-fault bullshit. They have fault divorce. So basically, like, if the woman goes out and is sucking on some other guy's dick, then guess what? She gets nothing. If you go out and you pump another pussy, you get nothing. I think that's fair. Because at that point, she's breaking the contract or you're breaking the contract. Fair enough. Whoever breaks the contract gets boned. There you go. I think that is actually fair as far as the marital contract is concerned.
I do too.
I mean, we should all just Russia route where it's legal to smack your wife up for being a bitch now.
Wait, where? What? Huh?
In Russia, they passed a law where you're allowed to smack your wife.
There's gonna be a lot of slaps on the cheek, man, or in the face.
Good God.
You know,
yeah, my ex definitely wouldn't survive there for more than 5 seconds.
They just made it law so that men can't be charged for it, and this is exactly to combat feminism in that country, which is, I think it's good.
Yeah, it's
and strong.
It's decriminalizing DV laws, just like how in California, giving someone AIDS, like you were talking about earlier, is like Class A misdemeanor, which is nothing. But back to the artificial womb for a second, though. only issue I see running in with that is that you're going to have a lot of people, a lot of political leaders blacklisted from like majority of like countries, really almost anywhere, unless like you get it off the black market or something, because you're going to have like the whole my women's or my feelings, and then you're going to have of course like like right-wing groups from all beliefs saying, well, this is playing with God, and you can't do this and you can't do that, and it's going to be quite be an uphill battle.
I'm not saying it's not going to be an uphill battle. I mean, they're already trying to position for that with both sex bots and also with the artificial womb. They're already trying to position themselves that way. But the funniest aspect of it is the people that are proponents of it saw that coming years ago when it was just a twinkle of an idea in our eye, and so all the arguments are already there, and it's all like, oh, no, you said this, you said that, you said this. It applies here, fuckers.
Yeah, it is amazing how hard they are trying to push against sex dolls recently.
Oh yeah, it was funny as hell. And the thing is the best argument I've heard is, because the primary argument that I've heard from the people that are against is that it'll replace women and it'll make it so women are a commodity, and it's all like, well, wait. You said women are more than just their sexual organs. All this is doing is replicating their sexual organs. That's all it's fucking doing. And you said that it wasn't a problem with dildos and stuff because it doesn't replace the actual man. It doesn't replace the actual person. So why is it that you're saying that this is a problem now?
Right. It's like
it doesn't replace the actual man because the man's role is to provide.
Exactly.
Right. Well, it's like the hypocrisy of all these women that walk around at these, women's marches that say, "Don't objectify me for my parts," while at the same time they're wearing a pussy hat.
And they're wearing a pussy hat, no fucking shirt, no bra, letting them just all hang out, to the great dismay of many, because usually the women that do that, they sag like a fucking egg on a nail on a wall.
Right.
Need to take their pussy hats off for just a second and put their thinking caps on.
They don't have a thinking cap. They have tinfoil cap, and then they have pussy hat, and then they have the tinfoil pussy hat.
Don't forget about the emotional hat.
Oh yeah, right. And the I'm so offended hat. Good God. Fuck.
Oh,
my
Lord.
God. Jesus Christ.
Oh
wait, no, that's called a safety pin.
Oh yeah. Did you see Did you see one of the Supreme Court Chief Justices wearing the hat?
Oh my God. She's gone. Like honestly, she's fucking gone. She's lost all fucking credibility, but she lost all of her credibility when she said that she would vote to strike down anything that Donald Trump brought up. Like, all the other court justices, even the ones that are quote-unquote on her side, looked at her and went, maybe you should step down. Because now we have to vote against you, or else we're going to get caught in that. Thank you so much for taking away our choice.
I can't. It's.
And then she tried to backpedal on it, and everyone went, "Yeah, sure you did, cunt. Yeah, sure that was just an emotional outburst. No, it wasn't. You meant every fucking word of it, and you thought people were gonna back you because you have a fucking pussy. Guess what? You hit the wall before most of us were even fucking born.
Well,
so you are way past expired. You don't have that card anymore. Your pussy card turned to dust about 30 years ago."
Well, emotional outbursts or not, I mean, when you're in a position of authority like that, you can't, you really can't, just start.
You can't be biased.
Exactly.
Really,
I mean, a judge is not to be biased.
Yeah, you're under oath of the Constitution, and you're under oath of the good faith of the public and all these other things. I mean, I understand the political machine has its own dinner to eat, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's really to these people to make these day-to-day decisions, and it's because they choose with these biases. It's retarded.
But one thing that I think we need to get rid of is the circuit court system.
Right. And you got to understand, too, that they believe that the Constitution is a malleable document.
Yeah, it's all like, no, that's pretty much set in stone. It's very clearly written. Leave it the fuck alone.
Well, the unfortunate thing, I mean, you go around, you ask the average American, you say, hey, what do you think about the United States Constitution? They're going to look at it, they're going to say, well, that's a useless piece of paper. Because they even know that it's not even applied in context with most just political decisions nowadays.
Yeah,
I mean,
and the thing is they do have a point there, but also at the same time, it's all like, you know what, the Constitution itself may be a piece of paper, but the idea of the Constitution can't be so easily destroyed. And the reason why our government has been, for the longest time, trying to push, like with Obama trying to push to take away our guns and our ammunition and everything, and slowly cracking down on our weaponry, is because they know that it's coming. They know that the pimp hand is coming.
Well, actually, during Katrina, the 68th Army National Guard, they actually went in and confiscated weapons. What they did is because I think I don't know what their excuse was, but what ended up happening was the politicians that enforced this all saw this coming, and basically all the looters were just like, well, this just got a bunch, a shit ton more easier. And it left all the people fucked. It left everybody fucked. And but I hear you though. When Obama tried strictening gun laws, I remember the police sergeant I used to work under. He told me you had to write like a 50-page document on why they needed the rifles. It's silly.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And the thing is in California, they are harsh with the gun laws here. They're really fucking harsh with the gun laws here.
Yeah.
But the funniest thing is people in Northern California are some of the most armed people in America because of that Obama bullshit.
Good for them.
From the U.S., we can have a peace treaty with Northern California.
Yeah. Just like, can we build a wall? Like, literally, let's build a wall.
Oh, Northern California doesn't like. I've talked to several people, and the same sentiment has been said, and it's funny as hell to hear every time, and it always gives me a morbid smile every single time. But they're all like, you know what? We do want to build a wall, but we want to do it like the wall at the Hot Gates. And I'm like, oh shit. They're serious too.
That's great.
Yeah.
And the thing is they were all, and it's all like, dude, the thing is there's a lot of people up here that would follow through with that. I can guarantee you there's a lot of people up here that would follow through with that because they're all about the symbolism.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I don't doubt it one bit.
I mean, hell, they would destroy a mountain to build that wall. All they need is the mortar, and Southern California would definitely be willing to supply it. Because they're stupid enough to march against that.
Well, hey, anyways, I gotta jump off, and I gotta thank you, Ryu, for having me on with you.
Yeah, have a good one, man. Go ahead and send me a friend request here on Discord, and go ahead and send me a link to your channel. I want to go ahead and watch your shit.
I will, actually. I never even mentioned my name before, but it's Married Red Pill, and I have a YouTube channel that's of the same name, and I actually dropped a link to my channel, to my first video in your live chat a little while ago. But yeah, thank you for having me on. I will send
go
you,
ahead and send me that, and I'll drop it into my Discord.
Cool, man.
And
all
anyone
right,
who's
talk to you guys
listening afterward or listening right now, definitely go ahead, go to his channel, give him some love, give him a thumbs up, give him a sub. So, all right, man, have yourself a good one. Hope your day goes well.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
But yeah, when it comes down to as far as the solutions, they're becoming very let's just say limited. in my opinion.
Well, there's an old saying that me and TFM like to bat around, and that is, people who make peaceful revolution impossible make violent revolution inevitable.
Yep, and it's true, and true again.
Was it JFK who originally had that quote?
I believe it was. But yeah, alright, so to whoever's listening, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to not only have this in my Discord, but also I'm going to put it in the description of this live stream once the live stream's over. And I'm also going to go ahead and drop a link inside of the chat. I actually like supporting other channels, especially ones that are just starting up, because I know how hard it can be to start up on YouTube. I mean, hell, I'm still in the startup phase. Let's be honest. I haven't.
Yeah, you'll have to drop in on us more often, Ryu. We're a crazy bunch of people in this Discord.
Oh yeah, no, I'm definitely enjoying the hell out of this Discord. So yeah, I'll definitely be popping back in and chatting it up with you guys. And feel free to come over to my Discord if you see me in there. Go ahead and hit me up, and I'll be willing to chat with you if I'm actually online. Usually I leave my Discord on my computer, but so sometimes it'll show that I'm on, but I'm not. Because I'm bad about putting myself as away.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm terrible about that, but that's because it's all like whenever something happens in my life, it's one of those gotta take care of it now situations. But yeah, no, I've actually really enjoyed the chat and all that. It's been kind of nice.
Yeah, what's really nice about on here is that you know, once you get to know some of the good MGTOWs here and stuff like that, like personally, I've experienced this. Is that you actually learn to value some of these relationships better than with some of the guys that you know, like IRL.
Yeah, like I actually know a few real life MGTOWs, and you know, like that live near me that I can actually talk to and that sort of thing. And it's kind of nice whenever I get to hang out with them and chill and that sort of thing. But it's also a very limited thing because in Northern California, yeah, you know, we're not libtard central, but we have more than our fair share of conservatives. And so that is a problem in and of itself.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I kind of have that. I think I have like one person. Like he is definitely I'd say he's more black pilled, but he is cool. But I do know what you mean though. You have to be more careful around like the public and stuff.
Yeah.
Just one fair word of warning, though. If you go into the mosh pit section of this Discord, because of certain recent drama involving fake cryptocurrencies, we have people going in there and recording people all the time.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for the heads up, but I'm one of those people, I put my shit out on the internet, and so I'm not too concerned. Like I said, I've had people try to quote mine me before and all that sort of thing, so, you know, it is what it is. I guess there's something wrong with me because I have this severe deficit of self-preservation instinct when it comes to online. I don't know why. Like, as far as online life is concerned, I'm a damn lemming.
Yeah, yeah. It's not as it's much easier to be more calm and more in a state of mind, or to feel more invincible.
Well, yeah. It's not so much that I feel invincible. It's just the thing of, like, at this point in my life, I'm all like, you know what? There's not really too much that they can take away short of my freedom. And I'm one of those people where it's all like, look, if you're going to arrest me for what I'm saying, then I'm going to make the arrest worthwhile, and I'm going to make you arrest me for what I'm doing. That's how I look at it. If I'm already gone, I'm going to make it worthwhile.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I mean, hell, I was like that in high school. It's all like, really? You're going to send me up to the principal's office for saying this fucked up thing? All right, your funeral.
Oh, I could tell some stories about how I pissed off some teachers back in the day.
Oh, well, it was kind of funny because, have you ever watched a channel called Ill Will Press?
Foamy rules.
Fucking A. You remember the episode where he was talking about the whole sticks and stones thing and testing it out on the teacher? Funny thing is before Foamy was even a thing, I actually did that.
Never saw that particular one, but yeah, I'll have to look it up.
Basically, he sits there and says that it annoys him whenever teachers say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me. And it's all like, oh yeah, go ahead and test it. Call the teacher a know-nothing bitch that is a poor example of motivation at best, and see how she responds. When you go up to the principal's office, sit there and say, look, I was given a theory, I decided to test it, and the results of the test were the subject became irritable and annoyed, therefore rendering their theory about words not hurting them moot. And I don't think that I should be taught by a teacher that can't put rudimentary concepts like the scientific method into play. Welcome to 7th grade for me.
I got threatened to get hit with the paddle. And I don't know why. I guess I was being a smartass.
Or it was just because you had a penis.
Maybe because she was a crusty old bitch. And then she got mad at me when she got in trouble for threatening me with a paddle.
Yeah, I actually had a teacher, I think it was actually... No, it was my 1st grade teacher. Her name was Mrs. Haig. And so everyone behind her back called her Mrs. Hag. For a reason. Like, even the kids and even the parents had that nickname for her. It was kind of funny. But, the thing is she actually beat the living shit out of me. With, yardsticks. And she would sit there, break it over my back, not once, not twice, but 3 fucking times. Once it got to that 3rd time, it was really fucking hard for her to break that thing. She was swinging hard. And it was causing some damage. Yeah, that bitch never got fired. And I was, remember, this was my 1st grade teacher.
Well, women shouldn't be teaching boys anyway.
Women shouldn't be teaching anyway, period. End of story.
Yeah.
That's my opinion, though. The reason why I say they shouldn't be teaching is because of the pure and simple fact that teaching requires you to be capable of failing a student based off of academic chops or lack thereof.
I'm not talking about like going to school and shit, but I mean like teaching as in like how to be a seamstress and like how to cook.
Yeah, maybe they should teach home ec.
At least at home.
But I mean, as far as like teaching shit like English, history, math, all that sort of thing, no, they really shouldn't.
Yeah, actually, there is. I think it's in Russia. There's a woman. She opened up a school for girls to quote unquote to become proper women, and she would teach them how to like, do all like these housewife duties and stuff.
Oh yeah, the School of Womanhood. I remember hearing about that. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. I was all like, that's a brilliant fucking idea because now it actually has to be fucking taught. Because we've had so many generations that have fucked it up, now we gotta reset. I volunteer for being the test dummy for blowjobs. Just saying.
These are
know those
cool.
What was that?
I was saying you never know where those mouths have been.
I know where they're going. That's all that matters to me at that point. It's not like it could be any worse than the women. that we've got going on right now. Jesus.
Yeah, sorry, I must have missed something here.
Oh, just I was just making a comment on how it's all like, people are all like, you never know where that mouth's been. It's all like, yeah, no shit. It's all like, but the thing is the more years you have behind that mouth, the more places you don't know where it's been. Just saying. You know, so it does get worse with time. I'm not one of those people that's saying, hey, go for him as young as biologically possible. I'm not saying
looking
that.
for, like, to marry a young woman.
No. But I'm also one of those ones, I'm not really for the whole marriage thing. But that's just me personal. You know, I'm all like, you know, if a guy goes out and gets married, I'm like, all right, you're a dumbass. And then I just leave it at that. I don't harp on it. I don't break communication with the guy or anything like that. But a lot of them agree with me on it. Right out the gate. Like, even if they've only been married for like 2 weeks. The ones that are in the first week might put up a little bit of resistance to that statement.
Well, no, I just meant as in, like, if you had the ability to get married with no negative consequences.
Oh yeah, no. At that point, I'd follow my urge to go after Neoteny.
Right.
I'll fully, openly admit that. But I would, my Neoteny
actually how
attraction
most
is
MGTOW are.
Yeah, and the thing is I mean, we get a bunch of shit for just being honest about it. It comes back to Raging Golden Eagles video, you know? Honesty isn't always the best policy, apparently. Kinda sucks. But, when it comes down to the whole Neoteny thing... What was that?
I said it's definitely not the best policy in this day and age.
Oh yeah, no, it's not. And I'm one of those people, it's all like, when I look at stuff, I look at it from a much more scientific, sterile point of view, you know, like, without the whole moral aspect to it. When I actually come up with my ideas, and then I go ahead and test them against morals. But the thing is like, when it comes to the whole Neoteny thing, it's all like, oh, yeah, you're walking a fine line when you're talking about that. You know, because people will sit there and say, oh, so you're saying that you're attracted to kids. No, that's not what I'm fucking saying. I'm saying I am attracted to youth and beauty. That's what I am attracted to. That is not unnatural for a man.
Yeah, because those are markers of good fertility.
Exactly. And the thing is people are all like, oh, well, then you're all about the looks. It's all like, no, because I've dated everything but a twig woman, and the only reason why I haven't dated a twig woman wasn't because of the looks, it's because I'll break her in half on the first date by looking at her wrong, let alone sex. So it's like, yeah, no, it's all like, not to mention I find women that have a healthy weight to be attractive, you know?
Yeah, not full-blown land whale, but, you know, that signs that they eat properly.
I always put it this way. I like my women like I like my cars. With curves, curves, and curves. If she is more blocky than me, there is a problem. If she is an amorphous blob, it is a problem. You know?
Blobs, they have one continuous curve.
No, I consider that amorphous blob. But, no, it's all like, she has to have defined tits, defined ass, defined legs, and at least I should be able to wrap my arms around her. Maybe if it's not around her bust line, okay, I can live with that. But if I can't wrap my arms around her waist, it's a problem.
I like my women like I like my graphics cards made out of silicone.
Welcome to California.
I definitely got to go with real. real ones versus silicone. Real ones feel so much better.
Yep, I agree.
No, I'm talking about sex dolls, not plastic surgery.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, right. Can't believe I didn't catch that.
Well, I would always prefer a fully silicone woman to a natural woman. I really would. But the reason for that is because you get all the positives with really none of the drawbacks other than having to clean up afterward.
Cleaning up after a doll is still easier than cleaning up after a woman. Women are fucking nasty.
Right? I mean, the thing is, you know, worst case scenario, you end up having to clean up after the woman for the next 25 years. Off of one round of fun. No, thank you.
Women, they reek of fish and bad decisions.
Blind man walks into a fish market and goes, "Hello, ladies." But yeah, no, anywho, it's one of those situations at this point where whenever I'm talking about Nyatny, like, I'm one of those people, like, I really do think that you should take mental facility into account, but also at the same time, the smart-ass part of me starts arguing with the smart part of me, going, well, if you have to take mental facility into account, then that means no man should fuck any woman ever. Because nowadays, women never mentally age past 8.
8? You're giving them a little more credit than I would.
I'm talking about the high ends. I'm talking about the highest end of it. Well, because you got women like Karen Strawn. Alright? She drives up the average. But sitting there and arguing as far as Karen Strawn is concerned, on my channel, I always say this. I don't argue the anomaly. Ever. I don't argue the exception. Because the thing is I have problems with people that argue the exception. Argue the rule and acknowledge the exception. That's how I do things.
There may be exceptions to the rule, but the rule still stands.
Exactly.
Because there are exceptions that prove that there is a rule.
Exactly. That's the reason why the exceptions exist in the first place. But yeah. Alright, to everyone watching the stream, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to end the stream here. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for sticking along with it for 3 hours. Have yourselves a good one. I'll go ahead and get the stuff together for my other streams, and I'll go ahead and let y'all know when I'm going to be going live. Go ahead, get onto my Discord, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so that way you know at that point, just in case you're not on Discord. And I'll try to remember to post it to my Twitter, but y'all know how I feel about Twatter. So, later all.